Good morning, good day, namaskar. This is February 3rd, 2021. Today, Wednesday, and talking to you is Engineer Suraj Singh from Bharat, India, a civil engineer, INT professional engineer, chartered engineer FIE, about professional issues related to title, civil field engineering, designs, methods, contracts, construction organizations, communication, coordination, quantity, quality, and whatever is required to be debated or talked of in this issue. That is 253rd talk about profession. Generally, I talk every day, nothing credible, but keep yourself apprised of what's happening, what should happen, what should not happen. Contracts are important for life, for everybody, and it's not so simple to take it because when we talk of civil of life, you cannot simply say it's backbone of life. It relates to everybody in this world. And whatever you use, you live engineering because this is engineering of life. It is total sum of life. You walk on road, you walk in street, you stay in your home, you go to market, you go to job, you sleep, whatever action, active action or passive action, one does all time, even in WC, in bathroom, you are somewhere connected to, knowingly or unknowingly, civil engineering field. Your house is civil engineering product, your market is civil engineering product, road is civil engineering product, railway track is civil engineering product, airport is civil engineering product, your office is civil engineering product. Wherever you go, from beginning to land, you will find surrounding or encircled by civil engineering products. You cannot avoid that. Of course, there are other products as well in continuation or in coordination to civil, but civil engineering is basis for all other products. आप कहीं भी जाएं, देश में विदेश में, यहाँ पे घर बाहर, बाजार, ट्रैक पे, एयरपोर्ट पे, ऑफिस में, बिस्तर पे, कहीं भी हों, WC में, हमाम में, बाथरूम में, आपको कहीं ना कहीं वास्तु विद्या, जिसको सिविल इंजीनियरिंग भी कहते हैं, कि परछाई नहीं सच मिलेगा। बिस्तर पे भी होंगे तो फर्श नीचे होगा, बिस्तर पे सोएंगे फर्श के ऊपर तो फर्श नीचे होगा, मकान में रहेंगे तो बिल्डिंग होगी, गाड़ी चला रहे हैं तो सड़क होगी, गली में चल रहे हैं तो गली होगी, हवाई जहाज भी जा रहे हैं तो एयरपोर्ट होगा, रेल में जा रहे हैं तो ट्रैक होगी, खेतों में है तो कैनाल होगी, नहर होगी, ट्यूबवेल होगा, कुआं होगा। मैं नहीं समझता कि दुनिया में इतनी सुंदरता से कहने वाली कोई दूसरी अभियंता का विषय है, इंजीनियरिंग का विषय है। अभियांत्रिक जिसने मानव को चेंज किया, बदला, मानव की लाइफ स्टाइल को, human has changed, humanity has been impacted upon power of civil engineering. Civil engineering is very common name because it relates to civility of human being. I'm not describing what is civil engineering actually. I'm just describing means how it relates to everybody. Of course, all other two does same. Electrical, without electrical, there can be no life. Without mechanical, there can be no life. Without all other branches of engineering, there can be no life. बाकी भी इंजीनियरिंग की ब्रांचेस हैं, उसके बिना भी लाइफ नहीं चलती. बिजली के बिना कुछ नहीं चलेगा आज की तिथि में, आज के समाज में. मशीन के बिना कुछ नहीं चलेगा, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स के बिना कुछ नहीं चलेगा. लेकिन उन सबसे पहले उनको सबको चलाने के लिए भी आपको सिविल की जरूरत पड़ेगी. व्हेन वी स्टार्ट सम प्रोजेक्ट, सबसे पहले क्या करते हैं हम? कभी आपने सोचा होगा, आप एक इस विश्व के नागरिक हैं, यू बिलोंग टू दिस वर्ल्ड एज ए सिटीजन. Did you ever think about when somebody starts, some civil engineer starts site or even survey of that site, forget starting of site, what is activity one has to do? That activity is cleaning that grass, cleaning those dirt here, garbage there, leaves there, plants there, everything there. And all dirt and septic or whatever bad or good material is available there in form of septic or non-septic. Even there may be stools and urination area and all that. We have to clear all that. That is very important point. Means we start not only from scratch but from dirty area. We start from dirty area and hand over in finished turnkey area, usable area, and it's not 1 day or 2 day. It goes on for years depending on size and cost of project. इम्पोर्टेंस एंड सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट. कैसा प्रोजेक्ट है, क्या है, उसके ऊपर निर्भर करेगा कि हमें कितना काम करना है उस प्रोजेक्ट पे, उस योजना पे जो हमारे को दी जाती है, या हमें विकास करना है देश का, विदेश का, अपने शहर का. ये सब बातें, ये मैं मजाक में नहीं कह रहा हूँ, ये वास्तविकता को परिभाषित करके कह रहा हूँ. आई एम डिफाइनिंग ऑल रियलिटी ऑफ लाइफ. वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. I'm not talking a civil engineering is a profession here. No, I'm not talking only because I cannot confine civil engineering to profession only. Profession is very small word, very small term. If you measure length and width of civil engineering, if you measure vistas of civil engineering, you will find that profession is very small amount here, very small quantity here. It is requirement of humanity. It's not question of money earning. It's question of how humanity can be served all over the world. I have worked fortunately with plenty people of international stage. I don't think some countries left. I may consider I have worked with more than 50 nationalities during my career. Arab nationalities, English nationalities, West nationalities, Far East nationalities, our nationalities, Asian nationalities. You can say there's no area left. I have not visited all countries, but I have visited culture. I have visited people. I talked to thousands of people during my careers, all levels, and I understand. Mindset is same. Generally, people are only interested in earning, interested to improve their living standards, improving their money value, not interested in intensive thinking on use of engineering power, that is to develop human requirement. When I talk as such, I do not talk confined to our country only. I talk to whole world. You can say minimum or maximum. Thinking is same, there's no difference. There can be difference in work culture, there can be difference in efficiency, there can be difference in, you can say, quality controls, there can be difference in thinking. But ultimate ultimate destiny remains as I specified, I mentioned. It's not so difficult to understand why I've stated something. It's very easy. Until we understand, if we keep in mind only money, I cannot say that we get something. Money is one part of game. Other part is dedication, devotion, commitment, and delivery of what was expected by person who requested you to do this job, any job, whatever job. I am speaking in very simple English so that you can understand. I am not using very tough words, or you can say contractual words here. Because life length is less than project and building length. Structure that we produce in civil engineering. Structure that we produce in civil engineering does have, both I am saying singular and plural, life longer than total life of your children and their children. You can say your structure would work, would stay even your many generations cross. Keep in mind that situation. Your structure may work for 100 years, possibly 150 years, possibly nobody knows, if it is maintained properly and retrofitted properly. But you would leave this land, you will leave earth, and you will go to your permanent home, permanent abode, and your children too. During same time, your structure works. So value that you give to structure should be actually more than, it should be more than value of your life. Your life may be limited. Yes, it is limited. I can agree. Life is not that expensive. Life is limited to 60, 70, 80, 90 years, but structure is limited to, unlimited to, any definition of length. You may be living for 80 years, but your house may not be built. It may be built only in last 30 years, 40 years. So you shall use only few years of your life, your building. Then your kids, and then their kids, like that it continues generations to generations. So my question to you is, you want to see your spoiled house to be used by your generations and yourself, or you want to see a quality building to be used for you? Everybody believes in quality as far as individuality is concerned, health is concerned, or you can say your superfluous standards are concerned. You want to see beautiful dressing on your body. You want to see beautiful shoes on your body. You want to see beautiful architectural aesthetic on your building. But how many of you do really believe in a reliable structure? That is my question. Structure, when I say reliable structure, means minimum 3 points are there. There could be anything added on that. We can add whatever you wish, but 3 points are minimum, and this pointer structure should be safe. Structure should serve, and it should work for too long duration, or you can say it should be durable for indefinite period. You can say maybe we consider sometimes 50 years, 100 years. That is only for purpose of calculation, for purpose of communicating, not for something else. It is very difficult sometimes to understand all this. When question of building or house comes, structure comes, people twist talk. Twisting is so magnificent, they would say, they will find different opinions among many people. Purpose of house is to stay in that safe service with confidence, and not to, think that one day it may fall. That kind of conception should not come to mind when you use some house. But it does not happen. You assume this house is safe and you stay there. That is different. But what is the problem? Problem is that people invest money not for purpose of living in that money or using that money for your life standard, but only for saying that I am just investing for further profit. I will dispose it, and then no problem, my money is back. There is security of your money only involved in your contemplation, and not security of safety or reliability of your structure. There's a difference because housing or a building construction or a building is considered an investment rather than an essential requirement for life. They forget somebody will ultimately use it. Somebody, unknown. Even if you sell it to someone, that person may sell it to someone else, but ultimately someone has to use it, and you do not know who that person is. You do not know, or you know, that's another issue, but somebody is going to use it. So, what right or what spiritual power you have to keep that occupant in danger because you did not care for safety of your house while you initially thought to construct that house? That's my point. जब आप मकान बनाने की सोचते हैं, आप सोचते हैं भारत में तो ख़ास तौर से कि मुझे क्या, मुझे तो ये आगे बेचना है, मैं अपने लिए थोड़ी बना रहा हूँ, कुछ पैसे लगा दूंगा, मकान बन जाएगा, उसके बाद या तो मैं किराए पे दे दूंगा या इसको बेच दूंगा, मेरी बात ख़त्म, मैं प्रॉफिट ले लूँगा। वही बात आपसे आगे वाला सोचता है, मैं प्रॉफिट ले लूँगा या इसको बेच दूंगा। वही बात उससे आगे वाला सोचता है। होता यह है कि कुछ वर्षों में वो मकान जो आपने बनाया पहली बार, वो 3-4 ट्रांजैक्शन ले चुका होता है, और यही सोच उस मकान का बेड़ा गर्क कर देती है जहाँ तक क्वालिटी और गुणवत्ता की बात है। वत्ता गुणवत्ता कहते हैं जिसको हम, वो कहाँ चली जाती है हम नहीं जानते। हम इतने कठोर क्यों हो जाते हैं मकान के मामले में? सारी दुनिया में देखिए आप, गो टू होल वर्ल्ड, यू विल फाइंड डिफरेंट टाइप ऑफ क्वालिटी. I cannot guarantee about West world because those people don't have this type of houses. I can assure our quality is much inferior to quality that is delivered in Middle East or at least in Gulf countries. They spend money but they also seek quality. We do not want to even talk of quality, so there are so many companies which claim that they are certified by quality assurance or quality requirement systems, which can be ISO 9001 or Sigma or whatever is there. दावा सब करते हैं. We all claim we are this, we are that. We are quality producers. But I know what sort of quality they produce. I am not going to criticize in person, but whatever I experience is really awkward. It's not acceptable to me as an engineer. From excavation to final delivery of building, you will not find any level of quality everywhere. Everywhere I can say generally, with the exception of 2-3% you may say, everywhere it's same. Quality is named only in title, it's not really done, it's not really achieved, and that is drawback of our nation. I openly say that because quality in construction, at least in construction, is too bad, is too low profile that we can simply say there is no one to look after that. There is no deficiency, no dearth of engineers. हमारे देश में सिविल इंजीनियर्स की कमी नहीं है, बिल्कुल नहीं है. हमारे यहाँ हजारों सिविल इंजीनियर्स हैं, लाखों भी कह सकते हैं आप. अगर आप सारे डिप्लोमा को भी मिला लें तो लाखों तो हो ही जाएंगे. जिस देश में इतने सिविल इंजीनियर हों, in a country where there will be plenty of power of civil engineering, and you find bad quality, it's a question to be worried about. चिंतित हो जाता हूँ कई बार सोच के, हालांकि मैं कुछ कर नहीं पाता हूँ. I'm unable to do something, I'm unable to do anything, but I find myself in a position of worry. Why all it is happening? I could not change it. No civil engineer can change it because work culture requires thorough change. When I see masons working, when I see carpenters working, when I see steel fixers working, when I see all other trade skill working, I do not find any quality criteria everywhere. It may be private or it may be government, doesn't matter. All structures are structures, and when your trades, your skilled people are not properly trained, Your engineers do not care about quality, they only care about quantity, about time, and about money. Then you cannot say we can achieve quality level. We have many institutions in our country, but regret to state that none of institutions cares about quality achievements. Certification is one part, but quality is another part. If somebody says, I am certified by this and that, okay, I value you because you are certified, but I can't certify you. I can't certify you without making sure, without ensuring that your work conforms to that. Even you have many certificates, that's for honor only, not for reality. It is true. I have seen many companies, they have all kinds of certificates, that quality certificates and many other certificates, but when you see their system is out of work. System doesn't work. It is not only for civil construction or all, I'm telling all. You go to maintenance of RO, you go to maintenance of fridge, you go to maintenance of equipment, maintenance of machine or something else, you will find they earn money because of AMC, they earn money because of warranty defects, and they earn money because of that. In fact, that quality criteria has been very well converted to money making criteria. When you produce something for say 25 years, why should be there a defect for 25 years? Simple answer is machine है भाई, defect तो आएंगे ही. Then where is quality? You mean life of parts you included in that machine assembly do not have same criteria. Those are different, and you use parts according to your fund, according to your budget, and not according to compatibility of other parts. But I'm not diverting issue. I'm just trying to tell quality lapse is seen everywhere. But on top stay civil engineers, because civil engineers are original runners of work, not depending runners. We don't depend upon materials we receive, built materials, inbuilt materials, and install accept pre-test. That is true also from factory people work. But in general, when you work in civil engineering, you have to work as real manufacturer on site. Though it's not called manufacturer, it's called contracting. Yet purpose is manufacture. Purpose is production. Production of concrete, production of mortar, production of this and production of that, production of block work in factory, production of brick in brick kiln. So or you can say crushing of rocks to aggregates. Or you can say we got materials from there, and those materials also be installed or permanently included on your works. आपको सारे ऐसे मेटेरियल लेने होते हैं हमारी लाइन में. इसको आप स्ट्रक्चर कह सकते हैं, स्ट्रक्चर का मेटेरियल कह सकते हैं. उसमें स्ट्रक्चरल मेटेरियल भी है, दूसरे मेटेरियल्स भी हैं, सामग्री हैं. वो सब हमको लेने पड़ते हैं मार्केट से एक ऐसी फॉर्म में, नेचुरल फॉर्म. अब आप जब एग्रीगेट लेते हैं, रोड़ी लेते हैं, वो भी नेचुरल आती है, बस फ़र्क इतना है चट्टान को क्रश करके आती है. उसी तरह से डस्ट आती है, स्टोन डस्ट, और उसी प्रकार से रेता आता है, या आप कह सकते हैं पिट सैंड आती है. पानी तो नेचुरल है ही, और साथ में जो हमारे स्किल्ड क्राफ्ट्समैन हैं वो कितने स्किल्ड हैं, ये बात अलग. ये पॉइंट्स जो आपको बता रहा हूँ मेरे अपने नहीं, ऑब्जर्वेशन. आपको क्वांटिटी का इंटरेस्ट है, क्वालिटी का इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. पीपल आर इंटरेस्टेड इन क्वांटिटी एंड नॉट इन क्वालिटी, बट दे फॉरगेट विदाउट क्वालिटी क्वांटिटी इज मीनिंगलेस. If you want good quantity, or you can say I have done that much quantity, my question all time remains, what is value of quality there? Quality is very important part. QUALITY, गुणवत्ता. अगर आप में गुणवत्ता नहीं है, आप कितने भी सुंदर क्यों ना हो, कितने भी डायनेमिक क्यों ना हो, क्या कहा जाएगा. आपके कपड़े बहुत सुंदर हो सकते हैं, आपका मेकअप बहुत सुंदर हो सकता है, आपकी बातें बड़ी मीठी मीठी हो सकती हैं, आप कह सकते हैं आप बहुत अच्छी डिप्लोमेसी जानते हैं, लेकिन जो आपका काम है, जो आपके रिजल्ट हैं, वो किसी गुण को लेके नहीं आते, वो भद्दे लगते हैं. उसे आप क्या कहेंगे? उसको हम यही कहेंगे आप क्वालिटी पर्सन नहीं। आप इंजीनियर हो, डॉक्टर हो, वकील हो, प्रोफेसर हो, जो भी हो, कुछ भी हो लाइफ में, अगर आपका काम खुद नहीं बोलता, खुद नहीं अनाउंस करता कि मैं क्या हूँ, अनाउंस करता है तो गलत अनाउंस करता है, सब स्टैंडर्ड अनाउंस करता है। आपका काम, कहते हैं काम बोलता है, काम बोलता है ठीक है, काम सही का भी बोलता है और काम गलत का भी बोलता है। Work speaks, that's right. What is quality person? That's right, we understand what is quality person. A person who's having values of work, who has good work habits, who does produce quality material, we can call that person quality person. And other person who doesn't do all this, what shall you call that? You have to decide yourself. I am not against anybody. I am against system and system product. Certification got no value to me if your product doesn't come conforming to that system requirements. I have seen many instances when people least bother. I visit one store of cement somewhere. Cement store should be completely airtight. But people do not know this. Maybe they know or they ignore. It's either same. If you do not keep airtight, what shall happen? Moisture from air enter your store, or even water penetrates in your store if it's raining. What happens? Your cement is automatically set. You do not care about that. You ignore that one and many bags set, and you would not take care of those partly set bags and use them. What do you call it? I shall call it nonsense, stupidity and idiotic work. Because everything is rubbish. Is there no civil engineer? Is there no supervisor to understand? Everyone is there, but ignorance. They say, why should I throw this cement out? I should use as much as possible, at least to save money. Yes, you are saving money. That's right, save money. But at what cost? You are going to spoil that structure, that part of structure in which the cement bag shall be used. That point is very important. And it's not only for this, it's for everything. It's for those who construct, who do concreting, who do mortar work. Those skilled craftsmen, tradespeople, I can say, or technicians, I should say, I consider all these technicians. Those who use technique of civil construction, civil engineering, they are technicians. Maybe we call them mason, we call them steel fixer, we call them carpenter, we call them tiler. Whatever their designation could be, they are all technicians because they work on techniques and they should know technique, but majority of them, they know how to do work and that's it. They do not know technique. That's unfortunate. I have seen plastering people, rendering people working on walls, and there is no chasing between joints of cement which should be done for interconnection of cement mortar to brick or block. There is no chasing, and they just put cement mortar or spray split just on wall and complete their work. So debonding results after some time. Hollow soundness result after some time. There should be no hollow soundness and there should be no, you can say, debonding, but it happens. Nobody cares about that. What shall we call that? It's very important item. I am telling you all this because I am going to talk about construction, and that construction involves everything. You can see reinforced cement concrete work being done everywhere, but people do not understand what is RC or RCC, reinforced cement concrete. They know that steel and shutters and concrete, and that's it for them. Other than this, they do not know anything. You ask them, they will say, oh, you are talking, you're from outside, this and that. ऐसा ही होता है यहाँ, यही हम करते आए हैं और हमने जो किया है वो ठीक है, हम ऐसे ही करते हैं, हमारी सब बिल्डिंगें खड़ी हैं. All their structures they constructed, they're all working, so they say, they claim that they know everything. That's the problem in this country. I talk to many engineers also, experienced engineers. Unfortunately, I am upset. If engineers talk in some time that way, nobody listens here. I don't think there's somebody more qualified than engineering graduate in some country, in our country or other country. I think this is highest possible qualification in terms of working engineer. There are higher qualifications, of course, PhD others, but my original qualification is that if somebody is engineer and works in field, and if that person doesn't respond properly about merits and about quality of systems, quality of items, quality of work, then what can you expect? And these engineers don't even have very good interest in updating knowledge only for purpose of having certificates. That is different issue, but real knowledge is required. It is duty of engineers to teach all these contractors, all these workmen, work persons, workforce, these technicians about what are these items, how to do them. But unfortunately, nobody cares about. In fact, rarely they are available on sites. If they are available not from quality viewpoint, they are available only from production viewpoint, quantity viewpoint. This means quality in general remains lagging behind your quantity. You can say quality lags behind quantity. Quality पीछे रह जाती है, quantity आगे निकल जाती है. होना ये चाहिए क्वांटिटी और क्वालिटी साथ साथ चलें. मेरी रिक्वायरमेंट इज quality and quantity should move together, and if quality moves ahead, then quantity lags behind. It's not going to harm something. So you may be satisfied that you are giving value engineering, you are adding value to your work, and that is very important point. Maybe you say I talk a lot. Yes, I talk a lot because it's quality issue. It's not talk, it's explanation, it's observation, it's pointing to something, bulleting to something. But unfortunate it is, I have beaten bush, I have broken my head, I have broken my feet, but people are not available who listen to quality system. Webinars are conducted, they do not care about quality. They talk of management, they talk of organization, they talk of leadership, they talk of many issues, environment and all that. Nobody talks of quality. And all this because of lack of quality. We have created bad weather, we have created polluted air, we have created all dirt, all this because we never bothered about quality. And quality is very important point, and we cannot correct it. It has become so intensified that culture has become quality less. That is very important point we have to carry. हमें सोचना होगा भारत के इंजीनियर की हैसियत से, भारत के नागरिक की हैसियत से, हम क्या हैं, हम क्यों हैं ऐसे. अपने पैसे को ही हम बिना क्वालिटी में खर्च कर देते हैं. दुख तो इस बात का होता है, आपकी जीवन भर की कमाई आप सोचते भी नहीं हैं और किसी के हाथ में दे देते हैं जो साथ में वो क्वालिटी का मतलब नहीं जानता. आप बिल्डर को पैसे दे देते हैं, आप प्रमोटर को पैसे दे देते हैं, आप किसी को भी पैसे दे देते हैं सिर्फ इसलिए कि आपको एक मकान मिल जाए रहने के लिए. वो मकान फिर चाहे कैसा भी हो, आपको चिंता नहीं होती. बहुत से मैंने देखे वीडियो लोगों के बनाए हुए, नए इंजीनियरों के बनाए हुए, कई बार डिसअपॉइंटमेंट हो जाती है. ठीक है, आप प्रयास कर रहे हैं, आप वीडियो बना रहे हैं, अच्छी बात है, आपकी ड्यूटी है लोगों को सिखाना, आप अगर इंजीनियर हैं तो. लेकिन सिखा क्या रहे हैं आप? पहले आप खुद तो सीख लीजिए, आप खुद सीख लीजिए. I watched one video, this is just an example, don't take it otherwise. That engineer was explaining that column size should be 9 inches and 9 inches minimum. I was surprised. Means without going into details of requirements, we announce in public 9 inches by 9 inches. What does it mean? What does it mean? 9 inches, you can say, or you can say about, what I should say, if you multiply it by 12, you will find 108 inches, which is 9 feet. Means 9 inches means you cannot construct a floor height more than 9 feet. But everybody constructs floor height which is 10.5 feet or 3.15 meter. Point is that minimum dimension of column, if you multiply by 12, that is maximum height permitted in short columns. छोटे हद के जो कॉलम होते हैं, छोटी हाइट के कॉलम जिसको शॉर्ट कॉलम कहते हैं, उसका जो मिनिमम डायमेंशन है वो 12 गुना से ज़्यादा हाइट का नहीं होना चाहिए. IS कोड कहता है कि आपकी मिनिमम डायमेंशन 300 mm होनी चाहिए, जो 12 इंच होती है। तो भैया आप 9 इंच बाई 9 इंच कह के क्यों पब्लिक को गुमराह कर रहे हैं? 9 इंच बाई 9 इंच कॉलम मैंने देखे लोग लगाते हैं और वो समझते हैं कि कॉलम यही है, सही है। 9 इंच बाई 9 इंच का कॉलम लगाया और 16 के उन्होंने 4 सरिये खड़े कर दिए 16 mm के। इसका कोई पर्पस नहीं है, कोई वर्क नहीं है इसका, इसको कॉलम कह नहीं सकते हम। स्ट्रक्चरल इंजीनियरिंग की टर्म में ये कॉलम नहीं है, लेकिन वो इसको कॉलम कह रहे हैं। हाँ, अगर आप स्ट्रक्चरल वॉल बना रहे हैं, आप ब्रिक वर्क को स्ट्रक्चर में कन्वर्ट कर रहे हैं, तो वहाँ पे आप बॉन्डिंग बीम लगा सकते हैं, बॉन्डिंग कॉलम भी लगा सकते हैं, वहाँ ये ठीक है। लेकिन आप चाहें कि यहाँ स्ट्रक्चरल कॉलम बन जाता है, ऐसा नहीं है। दिस इज व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, वी डू नॉट अंडरस्टैंड। स्पेसिफिकेशन इज अ पार्ट ऑफ क्वालिटी, ड्राइंग इज ऑल्सो ए पार्ट ऑफ क्वालिटी, प्रोसीजर इज अ पार्ट ऑफ क्वालिटी। आप कहाँ तक भज के जाएंगे, भाग के जाएंगे। ठीक है, आप ग्रेजुएट होंगे, आप पब्लिक को अवेयर करना चाहते हैं, बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन पहले सही इंफॉर्मेशन तो ले लीजिए। ऐसे ही एक इंजीनियर साहब ने कहा वीडियो में कि देखिए जंग लगा स्टील, देखिए जंग ना लगा हो, और थोड़ा जंग लगा हो तो चल जाता है। कितनी गलत बात है। वो हाथ में दिखाते हैं, देखिए हाथ में आपका जंग आ गया तो ठीक नहीं है, हाथ में ना आए तो चलेगा। अब बताइए कौन सी स्पेसिफिकेशन दुनिया के में लिखा है ये कि आप जंग लगा स्टील लगा दीजिए? मैं जो जानता हूँ एक किसी टाइम में CPWD के स्पेसिफिकेशन लिखा था, लेकिन वो बदतमीजी थी, उनको खुद पता नहीं क्या लिखना है। सर मजा मतलब ये नहीं होता कि जो स्पेसिफिकेशन में लिखा है वो सही होगा। ठीक है, यू आर फ्रॉम गवर्नमेंट, यू कैन राइट एनीथिंग, बट इट डजंट मीन दैट्स ओके व्हाट यू आर राइटिंग इज फाइन। आई डोंट कंसिडर दैट a religious book. That is your lack of experience, that is your lack of knowledge. You know engineering, but you don't understand engineering. You have qualified, but you don't know what you have qualified. This means is that. Don't disseminate wrong information. आप बकवास मत फैलाइए लोगों में, झूठी बातें मत फैलाइए। कभी भी रस्ट अलाउड नहीं है स्टील में, ये गलत बात है। कहीं नहीं कहा जा सकता कि रस्ट अलाउड है। अगर रस्ट हो गया तो आपको सैंड ब्लास्टिंग करनी ही होगी। कोई रेड ऑक्साइड, कोई आपका पेंट, कोई रस्ट, कोई कॉरोसिव वाश नहीं जा सकता स्टील में, क्योंकि ये उसकी लाइफ को खराब कर देगा। ये बात कितनी कहने में सिंपल लगती है, लेकिन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। मैं देखता हूँ जिस तरह सरिया रखा जाता है लोगों की साइटों पे, ऐसे ही पड़ा जाता है, लाए ट्रक से ट्रेलर से फेंक दिया। कुछ तो मुड़ा हुआ सरिया ले आते हैं 12-12 मीटर का मोड़ के, क्योंकि उनके पास ट्रांसपोर्ट नहीं है, वो ट्रेलर से नहीं ला सकते, फेंक दो कहीं भी। वो चीज जिसने कंक्रीट की लाइफ बनानी है, वो हदीद, वो स्टील, वो सरिया, वो इस्पात, जो उसके अंदर जाके उसकी टेंशन लेता है। किसी की टेंशन लेना कितना बड़ा काम है, और कंक्रीट की टेंशन सरिया लेता है, कंक्रीट की शेयर भी सरिया लेता है, कंक्रीट की बहुत सारी फोर्सेस को सरिया लेता है। और आप उस सरिये को इतना गंदा बना के डालते हैं शुरुआत में, तो उसका आगे क्या होगा? बहुत बड़ा क्वेश्चन मैं कर रहा हूं आपसे। यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट स्टील बार which is meant to resist many forces that come onto this by or from concrete. It may be tension, it may be shear, or it may be moments, whatever it comes to, they come to steel bear all them, and not once or twice, million times in life, until that member works, serves. Do we realize that? On what basis you can say that rust is all right? So we should be clear first what we talk of. Rust is never accepted, and we should take precautionary measure. We should apply precautions onto concrete, onto steel, and we should know there are solutions, but we keep ourselves distant from those solutions, while quality system says you have to keep updated of all available updated information, but it is not done. It is done only for sake of conferences, for sake of seminars. I have not seen any seminar that cares for quality. They care only for quantity, they care for defects, they care for this and that. But that's all theoretical. No professor has practical experience, no experts have practical experience. Even you get people from overseas, it doesn't mean they know everything. Until you have worked yourself, you have experienced yourself, nobody can claim that they are. Color of skin is not an answer. Your qualification from London or from Oxford or from University of America, these do not mean anything if you don't have work experience. You may be from IIT, you may be from wherever, but if you do not understand engineering, you do not understand quality, your certificates got no meaning at all. It's not criticism, it's reality check. Concrete is laid, you know. What a beautiful work they do. They can do whatever you cannot think, you see. They can do that. I'm really surprised. They don't care for safety, they don't care for quality, they don't only care for work. They care only for work, they don't care for whatever is required, they don't care of temperature, they don't care for water cement ratio, they don't care for anything, they don't care for leakage of water slurry, cement slurry from shuttering, they don't care for leveling of shutters, they don't care for straight lengths of beams, they don't care of, you can say, anything that should be done, but they call, we have done this linter. Linter means diaphragm slab, suspended slab. They do that. So these are very important points I am trying to take. Every element of structure is important. It may be foundation, it may be plinth beam, it may be columns, it may be stub columns, this may be slabs or beams or whatever you can say, whatever you are going to include in our structure forever, that's very important part. And we usually design unit, we design whole building as unit. We don't design finally beams and slabs. We take into our considerations overall three-dimensional structure and distribution and redistribution of moments. So whole structure works as a unit. That point designers understand. I don't say no. They understand everything. They do good designs, but those designs are thrashed by bad quality construction. Is that not a point we should understand? You think this is not a point we should care about? It's very important point. Very, very serious point this is. But who is serious here? Who is serious? You talk to someone, you won't get any response. Talk to anybody. Talk to mason, talk to carpenter, talk to supervisor, talk to foreman, talk to site engineer, talk to professional engineer, talk to anybody. They know it. I don't say professional engineers don't know it. They know very well. Chartered engineers know everything. At least if not everything, something. But to an extent implementation is concerned, they are not available. Unfortunate it is. And I'm not going to criticize architects as well. No, I'm not going to criticize them. Because this is not their job. Construction and quality is not their job. It's job of engineer. They may under force do that. They may do only from commercial point of view, so that engineers should be off market. But fact remains that it is engineer's job. Production, quality is engineer's job. Of course, structural design is there. It is also engineer's job. And structural design means everything. If you can't implement design according to requirement of quality, what do you do? What do you do then? Nothing. This means आपको कुछ लेना देना नहीं है क्वालिटी से, गुणवत्ता का कोई मतलब नहीं है आपसे, क्योंकि अगर गुणवत्ता में आप देखेंगे तो आपको कोई काम नहीं करने देगा, आपके अंदर एक विचार बन गया है. बहुत से एग्जाम्पल मेरे पास हैं, लोग बताते रहते हैं. एक ने ये भी बताया था, 25 साल पुराना इंजीनियर, 25 साल का एक्सपीरियंस, 25 years एक्सपीरियंस. He talked to me by chance on phone and I didn't meet him, but I was surprised to know his knowledge. Accumulated knowledge of 25 years. Means he learned nothing in 25 years, but he has 25 years experience. I'm not blaming that gentleman because he is not independent in world. His work also depends on others. I was very happy that he talked to me. First he called me through someone he was known to me. He told me that he has passed civil engineering, so I was really attracted to him. And I was further attracted that he passed that 25 or 26 years back. And this is very good experience, you can say. If some person claims that he has experience of 25 to 30 years, you get certainly attracted to that person because this is a senior person एंड वी शुड हैव सम इंटरेक्शन विद दैट पर्सन, इज गुड। हम इस आदमी से, इस वरीयता भरे आदमी से बात तो करें जो 25-30 साल का इंजीनियरिंग का एक्सपीरियंस की बात करता है, और अच्छा लगेगा उससे बात करके, ऐसा हम सोचते हैं। क्योंकि इंजीनियर से बात करना, एक आम आदमी से बात करना अलग अलग है। इंजीनियर आम आदमी नहीं होता है, इतना पढ़ लिख के आने के बाद, इतना काम करने के बाद वो छोटा नहीं होता है, वो बहुत बड़ी हस्ती बन जाता है। एक तरह से आप कहें तो बहुत बड़ा ऑफिसर पब्लिक के अंदर होता है। 25 साल का इंजीनियर जो 25 साल की नॉलेज, वो एक बहुत बड़ा ऑफिसर कहलाता है। अगर वो मेंबर बन जाता है तो चार्टर्ड इंजीनियर तो होता ही है, प्रोफेशनल इंजीनियर होता ही है। उसके अलावा भी जो उसको माइंड होना चाहिए, ऊंचाइयों तक, आसमान की ऊंचाइयों तक जा सकता है 25 साल के एक्सपीरियंस में, ये हम आशा करते हैं। इंजीनियरिंग जब सीखी जाती है स्कूल कॉलेज में, वो बहुत छोटे लेवल की होती है और उसमें थ्योरी ज़्यादा होती है, रियल एक्सपीरियंस नहीं होता है। लेकिन 25 साल, और कहाँ 4 या 5 साल, 4-5 साल में आप क्या सीखेंगे? आपका दिमाग बहुत छोटा होता है और किताबें पढ़ के आप डिग्री लेके आते हैं। लेकिन जब 25 साल आप फील्ड में रहेंगे तो आपको कितनी डिग्रियां मिल चुकी होंगी, आप इस चीज़ को सोचिए। कितने प्रोजेक्ट्स पे आपने काम किया होगा, कितने आपने ड्राइंग बनाई होंगी, कितनी ड्राइंग देखी होंगी, कितनी क्वांटिफिकेशन की होगी, कितनी क्वालिटी की होगी, कितने आपने मेथड लिखे होंगे, कितना सुपरविजन किया होगा, कितनी गलतियां की होंगी और कितना सीखा होगा। ये सब बातों का वॉल्यूम आप निकाल के देखेंगे तो 25-30 साल बहुत ज़्यादा होते हैं, कम नहीं होते। लेकिन अगर आप उस व्यक्ति से बात करें और वो आपको लगे ही नहीं कि उसको ऐसा है, या वो एक्सक्यूज़ दे वहाँ पे, तो आप क्या करेंगे? ये बात उठती है। एक्सपीरियंस होना एक बात है, एक्सपीरियंस में काम करना दूसरी बात है, और एक्सपीरियंस में काम ना कर देना तीसरी बात है। यहाँ पर मैं यही देखता हूँ कि लोगों से जो आंसर आते हैं, भाई यहाँ तो कोई करने नहीं देता है। अब एक साहब से हमने पूछा कि आप 25 साल का एक्सपीरियंस रखते हैं, बहुत अच्छी बात है, मैं बहुत खुशी है आपसे मिलके। आपने बहुत कंक्रीट की होंगी, हज़ारों क्यूबिक, लाखों क्यूबिक मीटर की होंगी, हज़ारों की तो होगी ना? जी हाँ की है, बहुत कंक्रीट की है। तो आप कंक्रीट के टेम्परेचर के बारे में क्या जानते हैं? तापमान के बारे में क्या जानते हैं? ऐसे ही कर रही बात में। अब बात चल रही है, दो इंजीनियर बात कर रहे हैं, तो क्या बात करेंगे? बॉयफ्रेंड गर्लफ्रेंड की बात तो नहीं करेंगे, हलवाई की मिठाई कैसे बनती है उसकी तो बात नहीं करेंगे, कंक्रीट की ही तो बात करेंगे, स्टील की बात करेंगे। भाई दो इंजीनियर, दो माइंड्स हैं, दो बड़े बड़े माइंड। तो साहब जब हमने बात की टेम्परेचर की, कंक्रीट की, भाई व्हाट शुड बी कंक्रीट टेम्परेचर, व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट दैट, डू यू हैव यू एनी आइडिया? Well, he was shocked to see what you are talking. He said, never heard this. He never had a talk. He never had lesson about concrete temperature. Oh, really? Yes. Oh my goodness. I was shocked to know that he had never exposure of that. He had never exposure of that kind of arrangement, that kind of, you can say, he had never any, you can say, he had never any quality, had never, experience of that word which we call quality management, compliance verification system. एक इंजीनियर जो 25 साल काम करता है वो कंक्रीट टेम्परेचर नहीं समझता हमारे देश में कितना होना चाहिए और क्यों होना चाहिए। ये टेम्परेचर क्यों होना चाहिए और कितना होना चाहिए, इसके लिमिट्स क्या है, क्यूरिंग टेम्परेचर कितना होना चाहिए और क्यों होना चाहिए, ये सब बातें उनसे मत कीजिए आप, क्योंकि उनसे कभी ऐसा हुआ नहीं, उन्होंने कभी ऐसा देखा नहीं। तो आप क्या करेंगे? इसका मतलब ये है कि कहीं ना कहीं हम इन चीज़ों पे ध्यान नहीं देते। सिंपल सी बात है, हम ध्यान नहीं देते। हमें क्या लेना देना है? ठीक है, वर्कर आएंगे, क्रू आएगी, सिस्टम है, मिक्सर लाएंगे या रेडी मिक्स से कंक्रीट आएगी, हम डाल देंगे, बात खत्म। रेडी मिक्स वाला जाने या जो मिल आ रहा है वो जाने, हम क्यों जाने? ऐसा भी नहीं। आप इंजीनियर हैं, आप सुपरवाइज़र हैं, आप फोरमैन हैं, तीनों को मैं टेक्नोक्रेट मानता हूँ। इंजीनियर में टेक्नोक्रेट है ही, वो तो पढ़ के आया ही है, और जो सुपरवाइज़र है कम से कम डिप्लोमा तो वो भी होगा, और नहीं है तो एक्सपीरियंस तो होगा। और फोरमैन है, ठीक है, एक्सपीरियंस से बना तो सही, ITI से तो ऊपर ही लेवल रखता है, बेशक उसने ITI ना की हो, उसका जो एक्सपीरियंस है 25 साल का, 30 साल का, वो काफ़ी है उस काम करने के लिए जो वो कर रहा है, बशर्ते उसको ये सिखाया गया हो। प्रोवाइडेड ही मस्ट हैव बीन गिवन लेसन बाय इंजीनियर्स थ्रू दिस 25 years period, and if that lessons are given to him, that man acts as a professional. हम ये सोचते हैं, मैं खास तौर से ऐसा मानता हूँ, ये तीनों जो कैटेगरी है, फोरमैन, सुपरवाइजर, इंजीनियर की, साइट इंजीनियर्स की, ये तीनों प्रोफेशनल टीम है साइट पे, और इनके होते हुए अगर क्वालिटी ना आए तो बहुत शर्म की बात है, डूब मरने की बात है। क्वालिटी के लिए हम काम कर रहे हैं या हम धक्का देने के लिए काम कर रहे हैं, ये प्रश्न उठना चाहिए। हम धक्का मारते हैं प्रोजेक्ट पे, हम कंक्रीट को धक्का मारते हैं, मसाले को धक्का मारते हैं दीवार बनाने के लिए, या दीवार को धक्का इतना मारें कि वो गिरे ना, ये बनाने के लिए? बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न है। अगर आप क्वालिटी नहीं दे सकते तो आप क्या दे सकते हैं? वर्क। उस वर्क का फायदा क्या जिसमें क्वालिटी ना हो, जिसमें सिर्फ क्वांटिटी हो। आपने कहा कि आज मैंने इतनी कंक्रीट कर दी, लेकिन आपको ये नहीं पता कि उसमें आपने कितनी क्या मिलाया था। आपने कहा जी रेडी मिक्स से आई थी और मैंने कर दी, लेकिन रेडी मिक्स आपने क्या मांगा था ये आपको नहीं पता। आपने डॉकेट भी नहीं चेक किया, आपने हिम्मत भी नहीं की, आपने टेम्परेचर नहीं जाना, स्लम नहीं जाना, एयरवाइज नहीं जाने, उसके अंदर एडमिक्सर क्या नहीं जाना, उसके अंदर एग्रीगेट कितना है, सैंड कितना है वो नहीं जाना, पानी कितना है वो नहीं जाना, और आपने उसका पंप लगा के, आपका स्टेशनरी पंप लगा के, अगर मोबाइल पंप नहीं है तो कंक्रीट कर दी, बहुत बड़ा काम कर दिया आपने। अब आप सेलिब्रेट करें कि देखिए मैंने स्लैब डाल दी, लेकिन वो स्लैब क्या डाली आपको भी नहीं पता। आपको इतना पता है कि मैंने इतने क्यूबिक मीटर या इतने क्यूबिक फीट कंक्रीट डाल दी। क्या यही क्वालिटी है? इसे ही क्वालिटी कहते हैं आप। यहाँ का रेडी मिक्स वाले से पूछेंगे तो उसको नहीं पता कि क्वालिटी क्या है। यहाँ के आप साइट वाले से पूछेंगे उसे नहीं पता। यहाँ के आप कॉन्ट्रैक्टर से पूछेंगे तो उससे बात करने का फायदा ही नहीं है। और किसी प्रोमोटर से पूछेंगे तो उसको तो पैसे कमाने से मतलब है, उसको कोई लेना देना नहीं है इंजीनियरिंग से। और किसी आर्किटेक्ट से पूछेंगे तो भाई मेरे कल वहाँ आ जाना, ऑफिस से बात कर लेंगे, उस बेचारे को भी पता नहीं है। तो मैं पूछना चाहता हूँ किसको पता है, कौन जानता है? हमारे देश में क्वालिटी के बारे में कौन जानेगा? इंजीनियर एक्सपीरियंस होने के बाद नहीं जानता। क्यों नहीं जानता, ये क्वेश्चन है। आप क्या झक मारते हैं फील्ड में? सिविल इंजीनियर का ड्यूटी क्या है? अगर आप बिल्डिंग पे काम करते हैं, या आप रोड पे काम करते हैं, या आप फ्लाईओवर पे काम करते हैं, जो भी आप स्ट्रक्चर बनाते हैं, आपको इन चीजों का मालूम होना चाहिए। आपको एडवांस टेक्नोलॉजी का पता होना चाहिए, आपको एडवांस मेटल का पता होना चाहिए, केमिकल्स का पता होना चाहिए। आप नहीं जानेंगे तो कौन जानेगा? आप बताइए किससे पूछा जाए? ठीक है, आप काम करते हैं, आप सैलरी लेते हैं, एम्प्लॉयड हैं, आपकी कोई सुनता नहीं है, ये बात आंसर नहीं है। आपकी कोई सुनता नहीं है, ये बात आंसर नहीं है। मैं जानता हूं लोग सुनते नहीं है, मैं अच्छी तरह जानता हूं। यहां तक कि जिसका मकान का स्वामी है वो भी नहीं सुनता है। लेकिन स्वामी को दूसरा इंटरेस्ट है, आपको वो इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। मकान के स्वामी को तो ये इंटरेस्ट है कि मेरा मकान जल्दी बन जाए और मैं उसको बेच दूं। मुझे तो बल्कि याद आता है एक आबू धाबी का किस्सा भी। एक आबू धाबी का एक टाइम जब मैं वहाँ था, तो वहाँ की कुछ एक विला बनना था। उन्हें बहुत जल्दी थी विला बनाने की। शायद उनके पास एकोमोडेशन की प्रॉब्लम थी, उनकी भी गलती नहीं होगी, उनको ज़रूरत थी। 2 मंजिल 2.5 मंजिल का मकान नहीं, विला मकान ही होता है छोटा सा, और क्या होता है विला, बड़ा साइज का मकान, 2-2.5 मंजिल ऊंचा। अच्छी वहाँ पर मिट्टी, अच्छी सॉयल। अबू धाबी में ड्राइंग देखी मैंने एक कंसल्टेंट की, और उसमें ड्राइंग में जब मैं उसकी देखी, उसकी रिपोर्ट पढ़ी, सॉयल बेस दोनों, तो मैं देख के सरप्राइज रह गया कि डिज़ाइनर ने आखिर ये डिज़ाइन क्यों किया। मैं ब्लेम नहीं कर रहा किसी को भी, वो एक अच्छा डिज़ाइनर था, इंटेलिजेंट डिज़ाइनर था। लेकिन इंटेलिजेंट और अच्छा होने का मतलब ये नहीं कि आपने कंसंट्रेशन की। देखिए, मैं 2 बातें करता हूँ, अच्छे हैं आप, इंटेलिजेंट हैं, ब्रिलियंट हैं, लेकिन आप कई बार कंसंट्रेशन नहीं करते, कई बार वर्क को आप सिस्टम में नहीं लाते, उस पर रिसर्च नहीं करते, और कहते हैं ठीक है कॉपी पेस्ट करो यार, काम चल जाएगा, कोई पूछने वाला तो है नहीं यहाँ। और म्यूनिसिपैलिटी भी इन्वॉल्व होती है वहाँ, ये नहीं कि नहीं होती। उन्होंने पाइल फाउंडेशन ली हुई है। भाई मुझे समझ नहीं आया, या इंजीनियरिंग कहाँ आ गई? पाइल फाउंडेशन कौन से इंजन के हिसाब से आपने डाली? खाली कह देना कि म्यूनिसिपैलिटी की रिक्वायरमेंट है, अपनी जिससे बात की अपने ऑफिसर से, अपने इंचार्ज से कंपनी के, कहता है ये ऐसे ही रहेगा, यहाँ ऐसे ही चलता है कि रिक्वायरमेंट है म्यूनिसिपैलिटी की। मैंने कहा म्यूनिसिपैलिटी की रिक्वायरमेंट मैं नहीं मानता, आई डोंट बिलीव इन दिस। म्यूनिसिपैलिटी इज नॉट इंजीनियरिंग, म्यूनिसिपैलिटी इज नॉट गॉड, इंजीनियरिंग डज नॉट रिक्वायर दिस। हाउ कैन यू से दिस इज म्यूनिसिपल रिक्वायरमेंट? हु इज म्यूनिसिपैलिटी? मैंने कहा मैं तो चिट्ठी लिखूंगा इसको। आई रोट, उन्हें कुछ फायदा नहीं है साहब, लिख लीजिए आप। भाई सॉइल इन्वेस्टिगेशन रिपोर्ट कहती है ये अच्छी सॉइल है, ग्रेडेड सॉइल है, और ये 10 टन पर स्क्वायर मीटर आपको सेफ बेयरिंग कैपेसिटी दे दी। अगर 1 मीटर बाई 1 मीटर पे 10 टन लोड ले, कोई कम नहीं होता। 2 मंजिल मकान के लिए, 2.5 मंजिल मकान के लिए, 3 मंजिल मकान के लिए 10 टन पर स्क्वायर मीटर मतलब 10,000 किलो पर स्क्वायर मीटर अगर मिट्टी वजन ले सकती है, वो भी ग्रेडेड मिट्टी, और वहां आप कह रहे हैं हम पाइल फाउंडेशन लगाएं, कोई सेंस नहीं बनती है। वो जो मकान के मालिक थे, उसके बनवाने वाले, वो कहते हैं छोड़ो साहब बहुत टाइम लग जाएगा, हमें जल्दी है, ये है वो है। मैंने कहा आप चिंता ना करो, हम टाइम बचा देंगे आपका। वो मैंने क्यों कहा? क्योंकि भाई पाइलिंग में बहुत टाइम लगता है। पाइलिंग करेंगे, उसका टेस्ट करेंगे, 1.5-2 महीने तो वही खा जाएगा। हमने उसको लिखा, दबाव डाला, भाई आपने किस बेस पे दिया है? तो साहब उन्होंने ड्राइंग चेंज कर दी और कहा देखिए हम इसके आपके इतने पैसे और लेंगे ड्राइंग बनाने के, और हम इसके अंदर स्टिफ फाउंडेशन डाल देते हैं, इसको हटा देते हैं। चलो पैसे लेंगे नहीं लेंगे वही अलग इशू है। उन्होंने स्टिफ फाउंडेशन डाल दी और हुआ ये कि वो मकान बना, पूरा 1-1.5 महीना बच गया। कहने का मतलब ये, कई बार हम लोग एक रूटीन में चले जाते हैं, we follow routine and see how we, okay, in this area we just do piling and all this, because there is no question of money, nobody points anything out, and nobody cares for 1.5 month use for piling, and in that case you can select। अगर एक अच्छा इंजीनियर डिज़ाइन करता है हर चीज़ का, वो भी ध्यान नहीं देता है इस पर, तो आप क्या कहेंगे? मैं किसी को ब्लेम नहीं कर रहा यहाँ पे। क्वेश्चन है कि क्वालिटी वर्क में नहीं, क्वालिटी आपके डिज़ाइन में भी तो होनी चाहिए। अगर वहाँ आपका एक बीम से काम चल सकता है तो आप पाइल क्यों लगा रहे हैं? बात आती है, पाइल रिमोट प्रॉब्लम में लगाई जा सकती है, भाई इसका हमारे पास कोई सोल्यूशन नहीं है, हम इसको बिना पाइल नहीं कर सकते। जिस तरह से राफ्ट लगाई जाती है जहाँ सॉइल अच्छी नहीं होती है, अगर राफ्ट के बिना काम चले तो अच्छा होता है, लेकिन राफ्ट मजबूरी में लगाई जाती है, और राफ्ट का नेक्स्ट पाइलिंग है। तो क्वालिटी डिज़ाइन में भी जरूरी है, क्वालिटी सॉल्यूशन जरूरी है, खाली क्वालिटी नहीं कह सकते, क्वालिटी सॉल्यूशन। ये सारी बातें देखनी होती हैं। अब मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि इंजीनियरिंग को जानते नहीं है, सब जानते हैं, बिना इनके इंजीनियरिंग पास नहीं की जा सकती, ये भी सच बात है। जो कहता है मैंने BE पास की है, ग्रेजुएशन पास की है और ये सब चीज़ें नहीं समझता, मैं इस बात को नहीं मानता। ये सब ABCD है इंजीनियरिंग की, इसके बिना आप पास ही नहीं हो सकते। कहाँ पे आइसोलेटेड फुटिंग आएगी, इंडिपेंडेंट फुटिंग आएगी, कहाँ कंबाइंड फुटिंग आएगी, कहाँ राफ्ट फुटिंग आएगी, कहाँ बीम्स आएंगी, स्टिप फुटिंग आएगी, कहाँ बीम फ्रेम आएगा, कहाँ पाइलिंग आएगी, ये सब है, सब पढ़ना पड़ता है। वो अलग बात है हम ध्यान नहीं देते पास करने के बाद, पास करना था कर लिया, छोड़ो यार कौन दिमाग खराए, अब जब जरूरत पड़ेगी तब देखेंगे। जरूरत कब पड़ेगी? जरूरत तभी पड़ेगी जब आप फील्ड में काम करेंगे, और फील्ड में आप काम कर रहे हैं और आप ध्यान नहीं दे रहे हैं। तो मैं ये बातें जो कह रहा हूँ आपसे, क्वालिटी सिस्टम कोई इतना गिरा हुआ नहीं है, इतना छोटा नहीं है। और मैं ये भी नहीं कह रहा कि आपको IS 9000 का सोचना चाहिए हमको, बिल्कुल नहीं। जब IS 9000 नहीं था, सिग्मा नहीं था, उस टाइम भी क्वालिटी थी, उस टाइम भी लोग काम करते थे। जब कंप्यूटर नहीं था, सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं था, तब भी लोग काम करते थे, कैलकुलेशन करते थे, और शायद आज से बेहतर करते थे। आज बड़े बड़े वॉल्यूम हो जाते हैं कैलकुलेशंस के, स्ट्रेस एनालिसिस के, लेकिन हाथ में क्या आता है? कुछ नहीं हाथ में आता। जिसने डिज़ाइन किया उसको भी नहीं पता उसने क्या डिज़ाइन किया, क्योंकि सॉफ्टवेयर नहीं किया, और इसलिए कंसेप्शन भी क्लियर नहीं होते, रिजल्ट पे भी ट्रस्ट नहीं होता। मैं अब उस तरफ नहीं जाना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि मैं बात कर रहा हूँ पब्लिक के लिए, क्वालिटी के लिए। अब पब्लिक को इतना एडवांस में ले जाओगे तो नुकसान हो जाता है। सो इसलिए मैंने कहा कंक्रीट टेम्परेचर के बारे में हमको मालूम नहीं है, कंक्रीट का मतलब क्या हमको मालूम नहीं है, स्टील से क्या उसकी कंपेटिबिलिटी वो मालूम नहीं है, हम जंग लगा डाल देते हैं, हम कुछ भी कर देते हैं। हम ईंटों का ध्यान नहीं रखते, ईंटें कैसी हैं, ब्रिक कैसी है, क्या क्वालिटी है ब्रिक्स की, हम कहीं भी कोई ध्यान नहीं रखते। हम सॉइल को कुटाई करने का ध्यान नहीं रखते, कंपैक्शन का ध्यान नहीं रखते, कंसोलिडेशन डिस्टर्ब कर देते हैं, उसका ध्यान नहीं रखते। तो क्वालिटी कहाँ से आएगी? क्वालिटी क्या कंक्रीट की स्ट्रेंथ में होती है क्या? नहीं, खाली स्ट्रेंथ क्वालिटी नहीं है, हर चीज में क्वालिटी है। कितना पानी डालना है क्वालिटी में आता है, रेशो प्रोपोर्शन है क्वालिटी में आती है। हर चीज पे एक प्रोसीजर है, एक लिमिट है, एक बंधन है। वो बंधन जब तक आपको समझ नहीं आएगा, आप क्वालिटी नहीं ला सकते। इफ यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड प्रोडक्शन and to apply production with quality, you have to know every aspect of quality. Only then you can say you can apply that, and by application of that quality system you can earn experience, and that experience is real quality experience, not simply that somebody works for 25 years in bad quality environment, then person is bad quality experience. That person also gave me one example. He said he was constructing on multi-story building, high-rise, and there was some on top that owner came and he was saying, "Why are you using that much steel on top columns?" And so I say, "Why are you using this much steel on this column? It's top column, and there's no much load on that." See, an owner is thinking of a load. I don't know why. That owner said, "You are using too much steel in these columns. You are wasting my money." Now that engineer was not very strong in resistance, and he talked to architect. This is what this owner says, and architect doesn't understand anything. He knows nothing. So okay, what this owner says, you apply this. This is the answer. I was surprised. I asked that engineer, you could answer that person about movements, but that person didn't answer. He didn't answer because that owner could not understand what are movements. That was only interested because this is a top story and there's very little load. Why are you using this much steel in column? You reduce this steel, you provide 8 mm or 10 mm or 12 mm, nonsense. What I mean to say, do not accept everything what your owner says, because your owner is not expected to know everything. Yes, he is owner, one is spending money, that owner is fine, that regard is fine, because that person is investing money, it is property of that person. That person is also going to pay you your fees or to someone else. So to an extent, to that extent, that's fine, but you accept everything, that's not fine. And really I find many disputes with people here, and whoever comes to me, I never am successful, and then get jobs from clients because what they want I don't accept. They talk in their own world which they experience bad in their life, and they want to apply again and again the same thing, which is not for quality. And really, explanation of quality is very, very dangerous. You can't explain everything. It's only a few examples I give you. It happens everywhere in the world, particularly soil quality. Soil is also a very important part of quality, but people least bother about this. You'll simply find they assume everything in soil and the assumptions in no quality. Yesterday I watched one post on Facebook where there was this question was, see this water everywhere in foundation soil, everywhere in foundation soil. Excavation was done and water poured in from all sides of excavations, bottom and sides. How this water has come, how it happened, nobody knows it. A question was, what shall we do now? It's not question what should now, what's already come in. पानी आ चुका है उसमें, एक्सकेवेशन आपने कर दिया, पानी आ गया, तो आपको पहले नहीं पता था पानी है वहाँ पे? क्या आपको पहले नहीं समझ आया था पानी हो सकता है? वाटर टेबल कितनी है यहाँ पे, इसका आपने सर्वे नहीं कराया था, आपने सॉइल इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं कराई थी, आपने जांच नहीं कराई थी, इसलिए आपको कुछ भी पता नहीं था। आपने मकान की खुदाई शुरू कर दी बिना जांच पड़ताल के, और वो मकान छोटा नहीं था, बहुत बड़ा मकान था, बहुत बड़ा एरिया था, सारा वाटर लॉक्ड हुआ पड़ा था। अब वाटर लॉक्ड हो गया, आप सोच रहे हैं पानी का क्या करना था? ये तो आपको एक्सकेवेशन शुरू करने से पहले करना था, आपने सारा पानी इकट्ठा करके मिट्टी खराब कर दी वहां की। ये बात नहीं है क्या? आपने खुदाई शुरू कर दी, सर्वे कर दी, आपको पता ही नहीं था इसके नीचे पानी है, कैसे जीत रहे हैं आप? वहाँ इंजीनियर होगा ही नहीं। अब आप पूछ रहे हैं क्या करें? अरे अब तो मिट्टी खराब हो गई, पानी तो निकालना ही पड़ेगा आपको। पर कितना निकालेंगे आप? सवाल तो ये उठता है। आ ही जाएगा, आ ही जाएगा। आपको खुदाई करने से पहले वहाँ पे वेल पॉइंट सिस्टम लगाना था, या सबमर्सिबल पंप लगाने थे जब खुदाई कर रहे थे। क्ले सॉइल थी, या क्ले सॉइल तो नहीं हो सकती, इतना पानी उसमें तो नहीं आएगा। इसका मतलब सैंडिक सॉइल होगी, रेता होगा या सैंड होगी या ग्रेनेड एग्रीगेट, कुछ तो होगा वहाँ पे जो इतना पानी आया है। टर्बुलेंट वाटर आ गया है, फ्लो अच्छा है, इसका मतलब क्ले सॉइल तो नहीं हो सकती, चिकनी मिट्टी वहाँ नहीं हो सकती, वहाँ कुछ और ही है। तो यह आपको पहले बनाना था। खुदाई के साथ साथ आपको वहाँ ड्राइव बनानी थी, उसमें सबमर्सिबल पंप लगाने थे ताकि फटाफट पानी निकालते रहें और पानी मिट्टी को ख़राब ना करे, एरिया ड्राई रहे। फाउंडेशन बनाने के लिए ड्राई एरिया की बहुत ज़रूरत होती है। वेट एरिया आपने कर दिया तो वो मिट्टी आपने काफ़ी समय के लिए बेकार कर दी, और जब तक वो मिट्टी अपनी ओरिजिनल स्टेट में नहीं आएगी आप उसमें कुछ नहीं कर सकते। यहाँ समझ ही नहीं है। अब यहाँ आप क्या कहेंगे, किसकी गलती है? कहने का मतलब है यहाँ पर हर आदमी इंजीनियर बन जाता है, हर आदमी प्रोमोटर बिल्डर बन जाता है। जिसको इंजीनियरिंग की एबीसीडी नहीं पता, मकान की एबीसीडी नहीं पता, वो यहाँ प्रोमोटर भी है, वो बिल्डर भी है, वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर भी है, और वो इंजीनियर भी है। सच पूछो तो इंजीनियर को कोई इंजीनियर समझता ही नहीं, क्योंकि उन्हें इंजीनियर की ज़रूरत नहीं है। और शायद यही कारण है कि हमें इंजीनियर का अस्तित्व, सर्वाइवल यहाँ दिखाई नहीं देता। बाहर देश की बातें और हैं, वहाँ इंजीनियर की मैंडेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, लेकिन यहाँ रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है इंजीनियर की। होती है तो उस एंगल से नहीं होती है, फॉर्मेलिटी के एंगल से होती है। साइन करा देंगे जी हम, और शायद कुछ लोग कर देते हैं साइन। हर तरह के लोग दुनिया में होते हैं, वो भी हैं। मेरा कहने का मतलब यह है, जो थोड़ी मैंने बातें की आपकी करीब करीब 1 घंटा, ये जो मैंने आपसे बातें की, ये समझाने की कोशिश की कि हमें मजाक में नहीं लेना चाहिए ज़िंदगी को। पर्टिकुलरली वो स्ट्रक्चर आप देखते होंगे, सुनते होंगे, वो पुल गिर गया, वहाँ की शटरिंग खुल गई, यूपी में शमशान घाट की स्लैब गिर गई। ये सब क्यों होता है? वो मकान बैठ गया, वो बन रहा था, उसके ऊपर काम हो रहा था, वो नीचे गिर गया। ये सब क्यों होता है? अपने आप होता है। भूता क्या करता है? यहाँ तक कि लोग तो कह देते हैं भूत करा के गया। सही बात है, भूत ही करा के गया, क्योंकि आपने भूतकाल में उस मकान पे गलतियां की थी, तो वो वाला भूत करा के गया, कोई इविल स्पिरिट करा के नहीं गई। आपने जब मकान बनाया था, आपने बना तो लिया, अब आप उसको ऊपर बढ़ाना चाहते हैं, या आपने भूतकाल में जो गलतियां की हैं उसकी वजह से हुआ, आपने सॉइल इन्वेस्टिगेशन नहीं की, आपने कुछ नहीं किया, बस आपने कॉम्पैक्शन भी नहीं किया, आपने कुछ नहीं किया, और रही सही कंसोलिडेशन कहीं की रही होगी पुराने ज़माने की, वो भी आपने खोद खाद के ख़राब कर दी। तो भूत ही तो है, वो भूतकाल का क्रम ही तो है जो आपको गिरा दिया, आपके काम को ख़राब कर दिया। तो उस हिसाब से कहेंगे तो वाकई भूत तो है वहाँ, प्रेजेंट पास्ट वर्क है वहाँ, पास्ट का अटेम्प्ट है वहाँ। ये बातें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हैं। मैं बात तो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की कर रहा था, पहुँच गया क्वालिटी पे, क्योंकि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में क्वालिटी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है। When you talk of contract, you talk of quality, you talk of quantity, you talk of management, you talk of organization, you talk of safety, you talk of you can say tender, you talk of award, you talk of everything, you talk of design. All issues erupt in there when you talk of contracts. My objective is not to criticize other professions, not to criticize someone else, but to talk of in concentration about our own responsibility. How many people, how many engineers, how many owners believe in this? That's the point. Owners least bother about this, because if you talk to them, first of all, they won't understand. And if you try to explain to them, they will say, okay, fine, it's okay, you are an engineer. But they won't like to. What conception goes into their mind? That this engineer is going to waste our money. That's conception. This engineer is increasing our cost because he wants to get more fees. They forget they are going to spend money in that structure, and that's very expensive one. And problem in a structure is very different. People don't understand. There's very different problem in our structure, that you construct a structure, that's right, you construct once. Problem in a structure is that structure is not replaceable. Brickwork can be replaced, plaster can be taken out and done again, flooring can be taken out and be done again. Similarly, finishes can be taken out, painting can be done over painting. I think architectural items and aesthetic items can be replaced, and these do not cause any problem. Every month, every year, or couple of years, you apply painting in your building everywhere, external, and you repair your floors. All that you can do. You can replace your woodwork. This all you do in your houses, in your buildings. But structure is that part which can never be replaced. This point you keep in mind. Everybody cannot understand this because they do not have that much capacity to understand. But structure, RCC structure cannot be replaced. It is not replaceable because this is monolithic in construction and this is unit in design. I consider whole building as a unit of performance, unit of construction, unit of behavior, or unit of every. Means if there is a failure, it should fail everything in that structure, and in such a way that it doesn't explode, it gradually fails or deteriorates, but that stage doesn't come in for centuries. So only important point is, if you talk of quality and quantity, structure cannot be replaced. That is hindrance. So you cannot take any risk. If you understand this point, you give reality, you give value to structure and not to other items. Structure is structure from foundations and including soil itself, you can say, soil foundation and up to your whole top, up to top of parapet. Structure is structure. It should act as one unit, and you cannot blindly extend it, you cannot blindly demolish it. Demolition also is a problem as well as extension of structure. It's very important point. I am not talking of physical extension, I am talking of stressful extension. When you extend something, it should be within probabilities and only after detailed calculations it can be understood. Similarly, if you extend it or if you even reduce one story due to whatever reason, there should also be a problem, because again you can say dynamic equilibrium as well as static equilibrium are disturbed. Dynamic equilibrium means very big issue here. Engineers understand but public do not understand. Means when building is in motion, and generally building is always in motion, particularly when wind works on this, when people use this, or you can say when some traffic passes around here, and when there's seismic action, or you whatever you say, building always is in high peak of vibration, and that vibration is dynamic. So within that limits of vibration, or what limits you applied in that design, this building should work perfectly. And when vibration are diminished, vibration are dampened, this framing of building should come to its original silent or static equilibrium level. So static equilibrium to dynamic peak equilibrium, there is variation of frequencies and accelerations, and that's what I'm talking of. So structure behavior or structure conduct of building is very important to be understood, which is very much part of quality. And if you don't understand that, you just make a structure very, very heavy, too heavy, and that creates another kind of problem. It adds additional loads onto foundation, and it's very expensive because you have to use more material in production of that structure. So why I say structure की जहाँ तक बात है, आपको अगर नहीं समझ आएगा, इतना आसान नहीं है समझना एक ऑर्डिनरी आदमी के लिए, लेकिन जो आपको समझा सकता है वो इंजीनियर ही हो सकता है। मैं ना तो अब स्ट्रक्चर डिज़ाइन में जा रहा हूँ, बाद में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स ही कर रहा हूँ। कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स जिसके बिना स्ट्रक्चर नहीं बन सकता, आप अपने आप को बना नहीं सकते, और कॉन्ट्रैक्ट भी आप किसी भी अनाड़ी को नहीं दे सकते। Contract can be given only to those professional contractors who are rare in our country. We have contractors but not professional contractors. Even big companies which people boast about and they claim about at international level, I'm not finding those companies also to adhere to conform to international standards or national standards even. because we don't have our exclusive standards. We are all mixed up. Our standards are all multi-international standards. In fact, we copy all the standards from West into our, or Far East into our codes. So standards one part of understanding. We are not sure about that, and we are not interested in that. I don't know why our people do not use power of thinking, power of recognition of these written documents, power of updating knowledge, and power of thinking how to improve something. Just like many quality systems like Sigma demands, keep on thinking, improving, and innovation. Innovation cannot be achieved without thinking, and thinking cannot be done without problems. If you have problems, you will think. So problems are very important in life, and once you have problems, you will try to solve them. That's also important. When I talk of contracts, quality management and compliance verification systems are very important one. Contract cannot be just understood by contract documents or contract conditions. Those are all commercial and technical. If you want to understand contracts, you have to understand in entirety. Contracts means some liability, some responsibility, some obligation, some commitment, some devotion, some sacrifice, and some commercial profit. All these account for contract. It could be construction contract or it could be EPC, whatever you can say, both are in that word. You cannot simply say that, you can't simply say when we say quality management and compliance verification system, what does it mean? It's a grave point, very serious point to understand. Quality management system, though it's defined here, I am just going to read it for you, but my own conception is different. Contractors shall prepare and implement a QM system, that's quality management system, to demonstrate compliance with requirements of contract. QM system shall be specifically prepared for works and submitted to engineer within 28 days of commencement date. Thereafter, whenever QM system is updated or revised, a copy shall promptly be submitted to engineer. ये साहब कहते हैं कि जो ठेकेदार है, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर है, वो QM सिस्टम को प्रिपेयर करेगा, इम्प्लीमेंट करेगा डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करने के लिए कि जो भी आवश्यकताएं हैं कंप्लायंस की रिक्वायरमेंट्स की वो पूरी करता है. ये काम वर्क जो कर रहे हैं उसके लिए तैयार किया जाएगा ख़ास तौर से, और इंजीनियर के सामने होगा पेश. जो जिम्मेदारी इंजीनियर की है उसको अप्रूव या रिजेक्ट करने की, और समय 28 दिन प्रोजेक्ट की शुरुआत होने से. जब भी प्रोजेक्ट अवार्ड होगा, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अवार्ड होगा, उसके 28 दिन के अंदर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को अपना सिस्टम अप्रूवल के लिए सबमिट करना होगा. और जब भी उसके बाद अप्रूवल के बाद जब भी उसको अपडेट करते हैं, कोई चेंज करते हैं, रिवीजन होता है, फिर भी वो इंजीनियर के पास सबमिट किया जाएगा. Contractor shall prepare and implement a QM system to demonstrate compliance with requirements of contract. QM system shall be specifically prepared for works and submitted to engineer within 28 days of commencement date. Thereafter, whenever QM system is updated or revised, a copy shall promptly be submitted to engineer. QM system shall be in accordance with QM system shall be constituted in accordance with details stated in specifications and shall include contract procedures. जो भी स्पेसिफिकेशन में रिक्वायरमेंट होगी उसको ध्यान में रखते हुए QM सिस्टम को तैयार किया जाएगा, और इसमें उस कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के क्या प्रोसीजर्स हैं वो सब बेस होंगे. क्या होंगे? टू एंश्योर दैट ऑल नोटिसेस and other communications under subclause notices and other communications, contractors' documents, as-built records, operations and maintenance manuals, and contemporary records can be traced. with full certainty to works, goods, workmanship or test to which they relate. ये पक्का करना होगा, ये पक्का होना चाहिए कि सारे सूचनाएं जो आई हैं, नोटिस आए हैं, दूसरी जो कम्युनिकेशंस आई हैं, नोटिस एंड अदर कम्युनिकेशंस में, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर के जितने दस्तावेज आए हैं, एज बिल्ट रिकॉर्ड्स आए हैं, ऑपरेशन मेंटेनेंस मैनुअल्स हैं, कॉन्टेम्प्रेरी वर्क्स हैं, सब कुछ उसमें इन्वॉल्व होते हैं। उन सब को हम ढूंढ सकें और काम का पक्का करके, अच्छा वर्क करके, वर्कमैनशिप करके, जो भी होता है। अब हिंदी में सॉरी करता हूँ, मैं दोबारा पढ़ देता हूँ, मुझे खुद समझ नहीं आता कई बार मैं हिंदी में क्या बोला हूँ। सो QM system shall be in accordance with details stated in specification and shall include contractors' procedures. To ensure that all notices and other communications under subclause notices and other communications, contractors' documents, as-built records, operation and maintenance manuals, and contemporary records can be traced with full certainty to works, goods, workmanship, or tasks to which they relate. To ensure proper coordination and management of interfaces between stages of execution of works and between subcontractors and for submission of contractors' documents to engineer for review. Engineer may review QM system and may give a notice to contractor stating extent to which it does not comply with contract within 14 days after receiving this notice. Contractor shall revise QM system to rectify such non-compliance. If engineer does not give such notice within 21 days of date of submission of QM system, engineer shall be deemed to have given a notice of no objection. जो भी QM सिस्टम ठेकेदार बनाएगा वो इंजीनियर को देगा रिव्यू करने के लिए। ये ड्यूटी है ठेकेदार की और ड्यूटी है इंजीनियर की रिव्यू करना, और इंजीनियर उसमें देखेगा, पूरा स्टडी करेगा कि स्पेसिफिकेशन के हिसाब से क्या करना चाहिए था और कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने क्या किया है। 14 दिन का समय है। उसके बाद अगर वो पॉइंट करता है इंजीनियर, कुछ कमेंट्स आते हैं तो उनको रेक्टिफाई करने के लिए, उनको कंप्लायंस करने के लिए वो ठेकेदार को देगा। और अगर 21 दिन तक ऐसा नहीं होता है तो ये समझा जाएगा कि इंजीनियर ने उस क्वालिटी सिस्टम को मान्यता दे दी है। इंजीनियर में एट वन टाइम, इंजीनियर एट एनी टाइम कैन से, इंजीनियर में एट वट एवर टाइम। देखिए यहाँ कहीं पर एनी लिखा है, कहीं कुछ लिखा है, मैं वट एवर बोल के बात खत्म करता हूँ। इंजीनियर में एट वट एवर टाइम गिव ए नोटिस टू कॉन्ट्रैक्टर stating extent to which contractor fails to correctly implement QM system to contractor's activities under contract. After receiving this notice, contractor shall immediately remedy such failure. Again, engineer may at any time give a notice to contractor stating extent to which contractor is failing to correctly implement QM system to contract's activities under contract. After receiving this notice, contractor shall immediately remedy such failure. Contractor shall carry out, मैं हर एक का हिंदी में नहीं बता रहा हूँ, जहाँ जरूरत समझता हूँ बता रहा हूँ, आप इतना तो जानते ही, आप पढ़ लीजिए खुद, मैं बोल तो रहा हूँ। Contractor shall carry out internal audits of QMS quality management system regularly and at least once every 6 months. If not regularly, at least once every 6 months. Contractor shall submit to engineer a report listing results of each internal audit within 7 days of completion. If contractor shall carry out internal audits of QM system regularly and at least once every 6 months, contractor shall submit to engineer a report listing results of each internal audit within 7 days of completion. Each report shall include, where appropriate, proposed measures to improve or rectify QM system and or its implementation. If contractor is required by contractors quality assurance certification to be subject to external audit, contractor shall immediately give a notice to engineer describing failings identified in whatever external audit. If contract is joint venture, this obligation shall apply to each member of joint venture. Compliance verification system. Compliance verification system. Compliance. What is compliance? We say some provisions are made in contract documents. Some provisions are made in specifications, in drawings, and also in conditions of contract. Or you can say some other national standards or international standards. All we know. When you do some work, whatever item you do in work, there is some reference to specifications, there is some reference to drawings, there is some reference to quality system, and also references to airport. No activity is free of these references. When you do work, all these references are visualized or referred to together, and we understand from all these references what is required or what is not required. When we do something, we do some item, for example, RCC, column, beam, brickwork, or mixing of mortar or concrete. Some method is given, some procedure is given somewhere. We have to follow that in letter and spirit practically, and that is, we say, compliance is done. Whatever work you do, generally we call it requirements on contract. General word is requirements. So whatever we do, whatever time, where pressure is applied. That compliance is very important. Just like you say, we have approval of our company, of our organization from ISO 9000 or under Sigma. So you have already declared that you have practically done it. So compliance is very important word, very wide word. It's not simply the specification, it's in system itself, compliance. And that compliance means you struggle together. So what I say compliance is that one. So where I say compliance verification system here, contractor shall prepare and implement a compliance verification system to demonstrate that design, if it is required, materials, employer, supplied materials, if required, plant, work and workmanship, comply in all respects with contract. That's an important point. I repeat, contractors shall prepare and implement a compliance verification system to demonstrate that design, materials, employer, in fact, contractors shall prepare and implement a compliance verification system to demonstrate that design, if whatever material, employer, supplied materials, if required, plant, work and workmanship, comply in all respects with contract. That is first requirement. Compliance verification system shall be in accordance with details stated in specifications and shall include a method for reporting results of all inspections and tests carried out by contractor in event that inspection or test identifies a non-compliance with contract. Defects and rejections shall apply. Compliance I'm just say I heard already. Yeah. Contractor shall prepare and submit to engineer a complete set of compliance verification system documentation. Contractor shall prepare and submit to engineer a complete set of compliance system verification documents for works or section fully complied and collated in manner and you can say a contractor shall prepare and submit to engineer a complete set of compliance verification documentation for works or section compiled and collated in a manner described in the specification, or if not so described, in a manner acceptable to engineer. Then general provision. Compliance with QM system and or compliance verification system shall not relieve contractor from whatever duty, obligation or responsibility under or in connection with contract. Means ultimate responsibility lies with contractor for everything that was to be done according to contract agreed. Now, use of site data. Use of site data. Really tired. मजाक बना रखा है लोगों ने कंस्ट्रक्शन का, थोड़ा मैं अपने आप ही बोल रहा हूँ, माइंड नहीं करना। मजाक बना रखा है लोगों ने कंस्ट्रक्शन का, कंस्ट्रक्शन करते करते डिस्ट्रक्शन कर देते हैं, पैसा अपना ही खराब कर देते हैं, अपनी ही ज़िंदगी को दांव पे लगा देते हैं। यही हाल है भारत देश में। कंस्ट्रक्शन को एक ऐसा बना दिया है कि कंस्ट्रक्शन ने पीछे का सब कुछ भुला दिया है। सामने जो दिखता है वही कंस्ट्रक्शन है, जो लोग काम करते हैं बनाने में वही कंस्ट्रक्शन है, लेकिन उसके पीछे किसने वो कहानी लिखी होगी, किसने वो स्क्रिप्ट तैयार किए होंगे, किसने वो सब किया होगा, वो सब कागज़ में चला गया, पैकेट हो गया, फिल्म बन गई, पैसा आपने कमा लिया, बात ख़त्म हो गई। आपको क्या लेना देना है लोगों के साथ, क्या बीतेगी, क्या होगा, आपको कोई मतलब नहीं उस बात से। यूज ऑफ साइट डाटा। साइट डाटा क्या है? जिम्मेदारी है कॉन्ट्रैक्टर की समझने की इसको। कॉन्ट्रैक्टर शैल be responsible for interpreting all data referred to under site data and items of reference. To extent which was practicable, taking account of cost and time, contractor shall be deemed to have obtained all necessary information as to risks, contingencies, and other circumstances which may influence or affect Contractor shall be responsible for interpretation of all site data under site data and items of reference, extent which was practicable, you can say taking account of cost and time. Contractor shall be deemed to have obtained all necessary information as to risks, contingencies, and other circumstances which may influence or affect tender or works. To extent which was practicable, taking account of cost and time, contractor shall be deemed to have obtained all necessary information as to risks, contingencies, and other circumstances which may influence or affect tender or works. To same extent, contractor shall be deemed to have inspected and examined site, access to site, its surroundings, above data, and other available information, and to have been satisfied before submitting tender as to all matters relevant to each execution of works, including form and nature of site including subsurface conditions, hydrological and climatic conditions, and effects of climatic conditions at site, extent and nature of work, and goods necessary for execution of works. Form and nature of site, including subsurface conditions, hydrological and climatic conditions, and effects of climatic conditions on site, and extent and nature of work, and goods necessary for execution of works, laws, procedures, and labor practices of country, contractors' requirements for access, accommodation, facilities, personal, power, transport, water, and all other utilities or services. फॉर्म और नेचर ऑफ साइट दोनों जरूरी। जमीन के नीचे का क्या हाल है वो जरूरी। हाइड्रोलॉजिकल एंड क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस आर इफेक्ट्स ऑफ नेचुरल। उसके बाद sufficiency of accepted contract amount, that's very important. Sufficiency of accepted contract amount. Contract amount, very important point, because this is the ultimate result of your making money. How much you make, how much you lose, it's up to this amount. So this is contract fund, contract cost, and this is very serious issue. We have to understand this very well, because this is cost, and this can't be changed in fixed up cost or lump sum fixed up amount when we talk of lump sum fixed price contracts, where there can be no change at all. Very important point, no change is acceptable, no change is admitted. Contractors shall be deemed to have, ये माना जाएगा कि कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने अपने आप को संभाला, संतुष्ट किया. पहले इंग्लिश बोलता हूँ, फिर बाद में दिखेंगे, बंद करा तो बोलेंगे हिंदी में. I'm sorry. Excuse me. To have satisfied it as to correctness and sufficiency of accepted contract amount, and have based accepted contract amount on data, interpretations, necessary information, inspections, then have based and accepted contract amount on data, interpretations, necessary information, inspections, examinations, and satisfaction as to all relevant matters described in use of site data. Unless otherwise stated in contract, accepted contract amount shall be deemed to cover all contractor's obligations under contract and all things necessary for proper execution of works in administration. Unless otherwise stated in contract and credited. Okay. So sufficiency of accepted contract amount is very important, because everything that you do in the contract, that amount should cover. Even if you miss something, it's your responsibility to cover. That amount can't be changed, because lump sum amount Until there is a change in specification, there is a change in quantity, or there is omission of work, or there is addition of work to scope of work. There can be change, otherwise there will be no change. That's the point to understand. Whatever amount you have taken into consideration, it must contain whole scope of work, and whatever items are there which are not flowers, you can say, it pick up all time. We have to be very, you can say very serious about this issue, that amount once fixed cannot be changed. There is no way out if you can change it. So it should take care of every provision of contract. It should take care for quality and quantity. It should take all that. Quality and quantity cannot be considered different. Quality and quantity both are there. So we go to unforeseeable physical conditions. That's unforeseeable physical conditions. Unforeseeable physical condition, this is, depends. This is all very important point to discuss. Natural physical conditions. We are talking of natural physical conditions, and physical obstructions, natural or man-made. Natural or man-made. That is physical obstructions. Physical obstruction, natural or man-made, and pollutants which contractor encounters at site. Contractor encounters at site during execution of works, including subsurface and hydrological conditions, but excluding climate conditions of site and effects of those climatic conditions. क्या इसमें कहा है? Physical conditions we are talking means natural physical conditions, and you can say physical obstructions, and which contractor encounters at site whatever physical disturbances or physical conditions during execution of works, including subsurface and hydrological conditions, but excluding climatic conditions at site and effects of those climatic conditions. If contractor encounters physical conditions which contractor considers to have been unfavorable, and that will have an adverse effect on progress, that is what. Then you can say, actually, this is very important provision. That is, I say unforeseeable physical conditions. It's like you could not anticipate this at time of a tender. You just imagine everything is smooth, fine, and but you missed this requirement. That's unforeseeable physical conditions, which means natural physical conditions and physical obstructions. That's natural or man-made, and pollutants. Then if contractor, see, during execution of works encounters subsurface and hydrological conditions but excluding climatic conditions at site and effects of those climatic conditions. If contractor encounters physical conditions which contractor considers to have been unforeseeable, that will have an adverse effect on progress or increased cost of execution of works, following procedure shall apply. Now what? Ha ha ha, stretching my legs, very important part. After discovery of such physical conditions, contractor shall give a notice to engineer which shall be given as soon as practicable. Conditions, contractor shall give a notice. Begin as soon as practicable, good time to give engineer opportunity to inspect and investigate physical conditions. Describe physical conditions so that they can be inspected and or investigated promptly by engineer. Set out reasons why contractor considers physical conditions to be unforeseeable. Describe manner in which physical conditions will have an adverse effect on progress and on or increase cost of execution of works. These are requirement to process. Again I say, number one is A is be given as practicable and good time. So these are conditions of physical means. We have to be very clear about this, how to handle this. Yeah, and if you don't take care about this, if contractor really bothers about them, contractor has to suffer that, and it's impossible in that case. It can be difficult to understand how contractor can neglect it. Once again, I repeat, means be given to an engineer as soon as practicable and in good time to give engineer opportunity to inspect and examine, inspect and investigate physical conditions promptly and before they are disturbed. Describe physical conditions so that they can be inspected and or investigated completely or promptly by engineer, and set out reasons why contractor considers physical conditions to be unforeseeable, and describe for manner in which physical conditions shall have an adverse impact on progress and or increase cost of execution of works. Engineers inspection and investigation, let's say engineers investigation is also very important from every point of view, and it's really wonderful if you do that. Engineers inspection and investigation. Engineers shall inspect and investigate physical conditions. Engineers shall inspect and investigate physical conditions within 7 days or a longer period agreed with contractor after receiving contractor's notice. Contractor shall continue execution of works using such proper and reasonable measures as are appropriate for physical conditions and to enable engineer to inspect and investigate them. Engineer's instruction, contractor shall comply with whatever instruction which engineer may give for dealing with physical conditions, and if such an instruction constitutes a variation by instruction shall apply. Delay and or cost. If and to extent that contractor suffers delay and or incurs cost due to these physical conditions, having complied with contract shall be entitled, subject to subclause, claims for payment and or extension of time and payment of such cost. Agreement or determination of delay and or cost. Agreement or determination under subclause, agreement or determination of claim of whatever claim under delay and cost shall include consideration of whatever and to what extent physical conditions were unforeseeable. Engineer may also review whether other physical conditions in similar parts of works were more favorable than could reasonably have been foreseen by base date. If and to extent that these more favorable conditions were encountered, engineer may take account of reductions in cost. Let us see again. Says engineer may also review whether other physical conditions in similar parts of works Engineer may also review whether other physical conditions in similar parts of works were more favorable than could reasonably have been foreseen by base date, and if and to extend that these more favorable conditions and more. Then you can say engineer may also take into account of any evidence of physical conditions foreseen by contractor by base date, which contractor may include in supporting particulars of a claim under fully detailed claims, but shall not be bound by any such evidence. And you can say cost to be agreed determined under section 11(7). Can say then we can say if and to extend that this Engineer may take account of any evidence of physical conditions foreseen by contractor by base date which contractor may include in supporting particulars for claim under fully detailed claim. Rights of way and facilities. Rights of way and facilities. Contractor shall bear all costs and charges for special and or temporary rights of way which may be required for purposes of works, including those for access to site. Contractor shall also obtain contractor's risk and cost. Contractor shall also obtain at contractor's risk and cost whatever additional facilities outside site which may be required for purposes of work. Avoidance of interference. Avoidance of interference. Contractor shall not interfere unnecessarily or improperly with convenience of public, access to and use and occupation of all roads and footpaths, irrespective of whether they are public or in possession of employer or others. Contractor shall indemnify and hold employer harmless against whatever from all damages, against and from all damages, losses and expenses, including legal fees and expenses resulting from whatever such unnecessary or improper interference. Access route. Access to site. Access to areas. When you have some site, you should have clear access. That's also a requirement. It may be temporary or it may be permanent. Contractor shall be deemed to have been satisfied at base date, that is tender opening day minus 28 days. Contractor shall be deemed to have been satisfied at base date as to suitability and availability of access routes to site. Contractor shall take all necessary measures. Contractor shall take all necessary measures to prevent whatever road or bridge from being damaged by contractor's traffic or by contractor's personnel. These measures shall include proper use of appropriate vehicles conforming to legal load and width limits and any other restrictions and routes except as otherwise stated herein. Contractor shall, as between parties, be responsible for repair of whatever damage caused to and whatever maintenance which may be required for contractors' use of access roads. Contractors shall provide all necessary signs or directions along access routes and obtain required permissions or permits which may be required from relevant authorities for contractors' use of routes, signs, and directions. Employees shall not be responsible for whatever third party claims which may arise from contractors' use or otherwise of whatever access routes. Employer does not guarantee suitability of or availability of particular access routes, and all costs due to non-suitability or non-availability for use required by contractor of access routes shall be borne by contractor. To extend the non-suitability or non-availability of an access route arises as a result of changes to that access route by employer or a third party after base date, and as a result of contractor suffers delay and or incurs cost, contractor shall be entitled, subject to subclause, claims for payments and or EOT to EOT and or payment of such cost. Hold on a moment, please. access routes wherein, let's say, we had this liability. Oh. We had to define this liability of access routes, transportation of goods. Transportation of goods transportation of goods is also very much inclusive part on contracts for projects. We have to transport goods of all classes to site, which is very important part of our project. You can say, for which contractor has to notify engineer not less than 21 days prior to date on which plant or a major item of goods shall be delivered to site, and contractor should be responsible for packing, loading, transporting, receiving, unloading, storing, protecting, etc. all goods and other items required for works. So packing from whatever source, internal or external, loading, transporting, receiving, unloading, storing and protecting. Then responsible for customs clearance, custom clearance, permits, fees and charges. Custom clearance, permits, fees and charges related to import, transport and handling of all goods, including all obligations necessary for their delivery to site. Indemnify and hold employer harmless against and from all damages, losses and expenses, including legal fees and expenses resulting from import, transport and handling of all goods, and shall negotiate and pay all third-party claims arising from their import, transport and handling. Transport of goods means general, it is nothing very special. You are contractor, you have to buy this material, you have to get this manufacture, whatever you do it, it's their responsibility to transport to site in good condition, from wherever source you bring it, the national source, international source, and you have to pay customs, you have to pay every duty required on this, you have to say pack it safe, transport it safe, you can say, and then unload, handle, or whatever you say, make well protected and all harm, and nobody is responsible except you. You have to keep all employer, others, etc., engineer, etc., all harmless, and you have to take absolute responsibility of that in terms of every requirement. So you are contractors. So contractors defined in that way. Now contractors equipment. Contractors equipment. Contractors shall be responsible for all contractors equipment when brought on to site. Contractors equipment shall be deemed to be exclusively intended for execution of works. Contractor shall not remove these equipment from site without engineer's consent. However, consent shall not be required for vehicles transporting goods or contractor's personnel off-site. In addition to whatever notice given under transport of goods, Contractor shall give a notice to engineer of date on which major item of contractor's equipment has been delivered to site. This notice shall be given within 7 days of delivery date. Shall identify whether item of contractor's equipment is owned by contractor or a subcontractor or some other person. If rented or leased, shall identify rental or leasing entity. Now, protection of environment, which is something we are quite different, though it's very briefly given here, but it involves lot of contract, part. Contractors shall take all necessary measures to protect environment both on and off site, comply with environment impact statement for works whatever, and limit damage and nuisance to people and property resulting from pollution, noise, and other results of contractors' operations and or activities. Contractors shall ensure that emissions, surface discharges, effluent, and whatever other pollutants from contractors' activities shall exceed neither value indicated in specification nor these prescribed by applicable laws. This pollution or environment protection is a part of HSE, health, safety and environment. In this contract conditions, only reference is enough. You cannot give details of those because complete details are available in HSC documents, and there are so many videos I have given in this connection on Facebook, health, safety, and you can refer to them. Maybe in many past videos I have also included safety or health references. If you go to past videos, you will find all URLs, and that's available. If you wish, you can see those, you can read, watch those. And temporary utilities, now temporary utilities. Contractors shall, except as stated below, be responsible for provisions of all temporary utilities, including electricity, gas, telecommunications, water, and other services. Contractor may require for execution of works. आप समझ रहे होंगे मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ. सारी यूटिलिटीज साइट पे चाहिए, काम पे चाहिए, रहने के लिए चाहिए, कैंप में चाहिए, यहाँ भी चाहिए. वो सारी यूटिलिटीज़ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की जिम्मेदारी में होंगी. जो नीचे दिए के अलावा है वो क्या है, अगर एम्प्लॉयर देता है तो वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की जिम्मेदारी में नहीं है. देखिए, फॉलोइंग प्रोविजंस ऑफ सब क्लॉज शैल ओनली अप्लाई इफ एज स्टेटेड इन स्पेसिफिकेशन. एम्प्लॉयर्स टू प्रोवाइड यूटिलिटीज़ फॉर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स यूज. अगर एम्प्लॉयर ने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में डाल दिया है कि उसने देना है, अलग बात है. एम्प्लॉयर्स टू प्रोवाइड यूटिलिटीज़ फॉर कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स यूज. कॉन्ट्रैक्ट शैल बी एंटाइटल्ड टू यूज फॉर पर्पसेस ऑफ वर्क्स utilities on site for which details and prices are given in specification. Contractor shall, at contract's risk and cost, provide whatever apparatus necessary for contractors' use of these services and for measuring quantities consumed. Apparatus provided for measuring quantities consumed shall be subject to engineer's consent. Quantities consumed, if whatever, during each period of payment stated in contract data, if not stated each month, shall be measured by contractor, and amount to be paid by contractor for such quantities at prices stated in specification shall be included in relevant statement. So this is something else. Now go to progress report, which is very important part of contract, and I already talked. So again I like to repeat because very important one. Monthly progress reports in format stated in specification, if not stated in a format accepted to contractor or engineer, shall be prepared by contractor and submitted to engineer. Each progress report shall be submitted in one paper, original one electronic copy, and additional paper copies as stated in contract data First report shall cover period up to end of first month following commencement date. Report shall be submitted monthly thereafter, each within 7 days after last day of month which it arrives. Well, reporting shall continue until date of completion of works, or if outstanding work is listed in taking out certificate, date on which such outstanding work is completed. Unless otherwise stated in specification, each progress report shall include chart diagrams and details, chart diagrams and detailed description of progress, including each stage of design by contractor. If required, contractors' documents, procurement, manufacture, delivery to site, construction, erection and testing, and photographs or videos, recordings showing status of manufacture and progress on off-site for manufacture of each main item of plant and materials, name of manufacturer, location, percentage, progress and actual or expected date of commencement of manufacture. Contractors' inspections, tests and shipment and arrival at site. Details are described in subclause 610 contractors' records. Copies of quality management documents, inspections reports, test results and compliance verification documentation, including certificates of materials, a list of variations and notices given by the party under subclause notice of claims, health and safety statistics, including details of hazardous incidents and activities related to environment aspects and public relations. Companies of actual and planned progress, comparisons of actual and planned progress with details of whatever events or circumstances which may adversely affect completion of works in accordance with program and time for completion, and measures being adopted to overcome delays. However, nothing stated in any progress report shall constitute a notice under a subclause of these conditions. I repeat list of documents so that you can have reference again. It's better. Let us see what the list of documents is: charts, diagrams, and detailed descriptions of progress, including each stage of design by contractors' documents, procurement, manufacture, delivery to site, construction, erection, and testing, photographs or video recordings showing the status of manufacture and of progress on off-site for manufacture of each main item of plant and materials, name of manufacturer, manufacturer location, percentage, progress, and actual or expected dates of commencement of manufacture, contracts, inspections, tests, and shipment and arrival of site, details describing contractors' records, copies of quality management documents, inspection reports, test results, and company compliance verification documentation, including certificates of materials, a list of variations and notices given by either party under subclause notice of claims, health and safety statistics, including details of hazardous incidents and activities relating to environmental aspects and public relations, and comparisons of actual and planned progress with details of events or circumstances which may adversely affect completion of works in accordance with program and time for completion, and measures being adopted to overcome delays. However, nothing stated in progress report shall constitute a notice under subclause of these conditions. Security of site. Contractor shall be responsible for security of site, for keeping unauthorized persons off site, and authorized persons shall be limited to contractor's personnel, employer's personnel, and to whoever other personnel can be identified as authorized personnel, including employers, others contractors of site, by notice from employer or engineer to contractor. Contracts operations on site. Contractor shall confine contractors' operations to site and to whatever additional areas which may be obtained by contractor and acknowledged by engineer as working areas. Contractor shall take all necessary precautions to keep contractors' equipment and contractors' personnel within site and these additional areas and to keep them off adjacent lands. At all times, contractor shall keep site free from all unnecessary obstruction and shall properly store or remove from site whatever contractor's equipment or surplus materials. Contract shall promptly clear away and remove from site whatever wreckage, hazardous waste and temporary works which are no longer required. Promptly after use of taking over certificate, contractor shall clear away and remove from that part of site and works to which taking over certificate refers all contractor's equipment, surplus material, wreckage, rubbish, hazardous waste and temporary works. Contractor shall leave that part of site and works in a clean and safe condition. However, contractor may retain at locations on site agreed with engineer during DNP defects notification period such goods as are required for contractor to fulfill obligations under contract. Archaeological and geological findings are very common. We know all this, all fossils, coins, articles of value or antiquity and structures and other remains or items of geological or archaeological interest found on site shall be placed under care and archaeological interest under care and authority of employer. Contractors shall take all reasonable precautions to prevent contractor's personnel or other persons from removing or damaging either of these findings. Contractor shall, as soon as practicable after discovery of whatever such finding, give a notice to engineer in good time to give engineer opportunity to promptly inspect and investigate finding before it is disturbed. This notice shall describe finding and engineer shall issue instructions for dealing with it. If contractor suffers delays or incurs cost from complying with engineer's instruction, contractor shall be entitled subject to subclause 22 claims for payment and EOT and or payment of such costs. Subcontracting. Subcontracting means a specialized contractors which services your main contractor is unable to provide, but so your subcontractor, this means a subordinate to contractor's responsibility activity lies with main contractor. So subcontractor, you can say practically, is an integrated part of contractor, and subcontractor is approved by engineer or employer both. Contractor includes subcontractor, you can say in that statement as such. Contractor includes subcontractor, and subcontractor is reportable to contractor, and subcontractor is not independently responsible. Contractor is responsible for subcontractor because subcontractor is also approved party on site. Contractor shall not subcontract works with a total accumulated value greater than percentage of accepted contract amount stated in contract data. If not stated, whole of works. Whatever part of works for which subcontracting is not permitted, as stated in contract data, Contractor shall be responsible for works of all subcontractors, for managing and coordinating all subcontractors' works, and for acts or defaults of whatever whatever subcontractor and any subcontractor's agents or employees, as if they were acts of or defaults of contractor. Contractor shall obtain engineer's prior consent to all proposed subcontractors except supply of materials, a subcontract for which subcontractor is named in contract. Where contractor is required to obtain engineer's consent to a proposed subcontractor, contractor shall submit name, address, details, particulars, and relevant experience of such a subcontractor and work intended to be subcontracted to engineer, and further information which engineer may reasonably require. If engineer does not respond within 14 days after receiving submission of further information, so where contractor is required to obtain engineer's consent to propose subcontractor, contractor shall submit name, address, detailed particulars, and relevant experience of such a subcontractor and works intended to be subcontracted to engineer, and further information which engineer may reasonably require. If engineer does not respond in 14 days after receiving the submission or further information is requested by giving a notice objecting to proposed subcontractor, engineer shall be deemed to have given its consent. Contractor shall give a notice to engineer not less than 28 days before intended date of commencement of such subcontractors work and of commencement of such work on site. Nominated subcontractor, definition of nominated subcontractor. Nomination, insert, nomination subcontractor. In this subclause, nominated subcontractor means nominated subcontractor means a subcontractor named as such in specification or whom engineer under subclause provisional sums instructs contractor to employ as a subcontractor. There can be objection to nomination. What we have said about this? Contractor shall not be under any obligation to employ a nominated subcontractor whom engineer instructs and against whom contractor raises reasonable objection by giving a notice to engineer with detailed supporting particulars no later than 14 days after receiving engineer's instruction. Okay, objection to nomination. Now we are here. Contractor shall not bear under any obligation to employ a nominated subcontractor whom the engineer instructs and against whom contractor raises a reasonable objection by giving a notice to engineer with detailed supporting particulars. No later than 14 days after receiving engineer's instruction. An objection shall be deemed responsible if it arises from, among other things, any of following matters, unless employer agrees to indemnify contractor against and from all consequences of matter. Reasons to believe that subcontractor does not have sufficient competence, resources, or final strength. Some subcontractor does not specify that nominated subcontractor does not specify that nominated subcontractor shall indemnify contractor against and from any negligence or misuse of goods by nominated subcontractors, agents, and employees. Subcontract doesn't specify that for subcontracted work or subcontractor work, including design or whatever, if all nominations, the subcontractor shall and you can say subcontractor does not specify that for subcontracted works, designs if required, so nominated subcontractor shall undertake to contractor such obligations and liability as will enable contractor to discharge contractor's corresponding obligations and liabilities under contract and indemnify contractor against and from all obligations and liabilities arising under or in connection with contract and from consequences of whatever failure by subcontractor to perform these obligations or to fulfill these liabilities. Payments to nominated subcontractor. Contractor shall pay to nominated subcontractor amounts due in accordance with subcontract. These amounts plus other charges shall be included in contract price in accordance with subparagraph of proportional sums except stated evidence of payments. And evidence of payments before issuing a payment certificate which included an amount payable to nominated subcontractor, engineer may request contractor to supply reasonable evidence that nominated subcontractor has received all amounts due in accordance with previous payment certificate. Less applicable deductions for retention of otherwise, unless contractor submits this reasonable evidence to engineer or satisfies engineer in writing that contractor is reasonably entitled to withhold or refuse to pay these amounts and submits to engineer reasonable evidence that nominated subcontractor has been notified of contract's entitlement. Employer may at employer's sole discretion pay directly or to employ nominated subcontractor part of all such amounts previously certified less applicable actions. Thereafter, engineer shall give notice to contractor stating amount paid directly to the nominated subcontractor by 10 years. staff and labor. Talking waking to you about contracts. Some practical viewpoint in relation to provisions made within contracts and to follow up some standard documents like contract. Red Book 99. Except as otherwise stated in specification, contract shall make arrangements of all contracts personnel and for their payment, accommodation, feeding, transport and welfare. सब कुछ करना पड़ेगा ठेकेदार को उन लोगों के लिए जो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट पे काम करेंगे, उसमें कोई भी हो सकता है, कोई नई बात नहीं है। उनके एकोमोडेशन, उनकी पेमेंट, उनकी रोटी बोटी, उनकी ट्रांसपोर्ट, उनकी वेलफेयर, जो भी चाहिए सब कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में है। बहुत ज़रूरी है समझना इस बात को, नहीं समझेंगे तो गलत होगा। Except as otherwise stated in specification, contractor shall make arrangements for engagement of all contracts personnel, all contracts personnel. Contract shall pay rates of wages and observe conditions of labor which comply with all applicable laws. Contract shall pay rate of wages, shall pay wages and observe conditions which are not lower than general level of wages, and conditions observed locally by employers whose trades or industry is similar to that of contractor. Recruit of persons. Contract shall not recruit or attempt to recruit staff and labor from amongst employers' personnel. Neither employer nor engineer shall recruit or attempt to recruit staff and labor from amongst contractors' personnel. Labor laws. Contract shall comply with all labor laws, relevant labor laws applicable to contractors' personnel, including laws relating to their employment, including wages and working hours, health, safety, welfare, immigration and emigration, and allow them all their legal rights. Contractor shall require contractors' personnel to obey all applicable laws, including those concerning health and safety at work. Working hours. No work shall be carried out on site on locally recognized days of rest or outside normal working hours stated in contract data unless otherwise stated in contract. Engineer gives consent or work is unavailable. Engineer gives consent or work is unavoidable or necessary for protection of life or property or for safety of works, in which case contractor shall immediately give notice to engineer with reasons and describing work required. Facilities site for site staff and labor workers, except as otherwise stated in specification, contractor shall provide and maintain all necessary accommodation and welfare facilities for contractor's personnel. If such accommodation and facilities are to be located on site, except where employer has given contractor prior permission, they shall be located within areas identified in contract. If any such accommodation or facility are found elsewhere within site, contractor shall immediately remove them at contractor's risk and cost. Contractor shall also provide facilities for employer's personnel as stated in specification. Health and safety of personnel. Health and safety of personnel. In addition to requirements, health and safety obligations, contractor in addition to requirements of health and safety obligations, contractor shall at all times take necessary precautions to maintain health and safety of contractor's personnel. In collaboration with local health authorities, contractor shall ensure that medical staff, first aid facilities, sick bay, ambulance services, and whatever other medical services stated in specification are available at all times at site, and at whatever accommodation for contractors and employers' personnel, and suitable arrangements are made for all necessary welfare and hygiene requirements and for prevention of epidemics. Contractor shall appoint a health and safety officer at site responsible for maintaining health, safety, and protection against accidents. This officer shall be qualified, experienced, and competent for this responsibility, have authority to issue directions for purpose of maintaining health and safety of personnel, authorized to enter and or work on site, and to take protective measures to prevent accidents. Throughout execution of works, contractor shall provide whatever is required by this person to exercise this responsibility and authority. Superintendents. Contractor superintendence is a very important part of contract. Actually, this is very much necessary to achieve quality, as I say. Superintendence of contractor, which is very big chapter, in fact, to understand. It's not simply explanation in document, but what to actually understand, what it should do, what it should not do. It's a very important part of contract. And we have to worry about this, how it works. If we understand this part very well, we can say a lot shall be achieved, because contractor superintendence means work done according to systematic way it is required to be done, and contract superintendence means whatever contractor does according to contract provisions. And of course quality point comes into play when superintendence is best one or reliable one, and this contractor superintendence part of this contract is actually responsible to gain quality, and this part is trained well, is under control, and this controls everything. All the activities are controlled by this part of superintendence of contract superintendence. You can say major portion of problems are over, and determination, commitment of contractor superintendence, you can say dedication, hard work, smart work, whatever work you can call it, contract superintendents can achieve targets of contract. And target is not only a name, target also means quality achievements. Quality to be achieved is represented by power of contract superintendence, and power of contract superintendence can deliver what otherwise cannot be delivered. We can't expect we can't expect others to gain what contractor superintendents can get us. And if we keep highest cadre of contract superintendents in terms of quality, we can do, of course, something that can claim quality is achieved. That's very important point here. We have to be clear about contractor superintendence. Though it's very small word, but it's very important word in which contractor's power is seen, in which contractual discipline is seen, in which it's seen that this is contractual representation. This is called contractual agency to work on that project, and this is really very much interesting to note about this contractor's representative, real world, real part. So I'll take your leave now. We'll talk of later how to handle all this stuff. We'll talk of later, and we'll start with new beginning from contractor superintendence at detailed, because there are so many levels of contractors superintendence, not confined to whatever given is document, but based on practical experience we'll see how it works. And you can say this, I close this talk here. I will say how to move further on this, because if we understand contract superintendence, we can understand a lot. And contract superintendence it's not simply contract superintendence, but you can say actual prosecution of works it is. Thank you very much.